Hey folks, Party here. Had a bit of mishap with the no sound. How's this? Is this better? How you going, Gary, Ethan, and everyone else? Yeah, I went to the bottom of the pass yesterday and had some foreigners around and dropped theirs mistaking me for a foreigner, for a tourist. So I got attacked a day early before Halloween. So I hope everybody's doing well. Um, this hat. I was trying to do a. You got sound now, Gary? By any chance? I'll send you guys an invite. You guys want to come in and join in? So let's see. Yeah, okay. I think I've got all my settings right. I'm going through. I'm doing StreamYard, but I'm going through. I'm using OBS and trying to go through that system. So, yeah. Anyway, let's have a look at what the program. There hasn't been much of a progress on the layout this week. I'll just transfer it over. There we go. As you see, there hasn't really been much of a progress there. As I've been actually working on a lot of the switches and wiring and whatnot on the actual switch board for the layout. So let me get this up my nose so I can actually breathe. Yeah, so nothing really much has happened on the layout itself, but I have done a whole heap of wiring and whatnot. So yeah, I'll just show you guys what I've done. I've pre-wired all my switches, as you can see there. Some for the turnouts, some for the isolating the tracks. I'm now in the process of doing the indicator, the LEDs. I'm halfway through with that. Now, what else have I got to do? I still haven't done the woodwork or the framework for the actual switchboard itself. It's just been a hectic week between my little one and things with my stepsister over in South Carolina. She hasn't been well either, so it's been a crazy couple of weeks for me. Good news is the stepsister's coming up well. The other project I've been working on is, preparing. I'm putting a DCC decoder in my little southern alcove. And I forgot to change the bulbs in it, so now I'm going to change the light bulbs in that, because these ones were the old 6-volt ones, I think they were, and they'd blown out. So I've got to change that. Once the switchboard's finished, I'm going to do the buildings, and I might. This engine here needs its decay to be swapped out. Since I had the shell taken off, I might even end up repainting this one. So I'll see how I go. I might paint that up into the orange. But my main goal at the moment is to finish the layout and have the scenery up and going. So yeah, hope everything has been well with you, Gary. Yeah, it looks like I'm clashing my time with Go there. I apologise to him. I did look at the schedules, and yeah, it's now all of a sudden it seems to be clashing with him, but I will be sticking to this time because as next week daylight saving changes over in the US, they go back for approximately they go back an hour, so streaming time is going to be different. Hi, Nessie. Sorry, I was done up for Halloween, but yeah, you'll have to see the start of the show. You're welcome to join in if you wish. Yeah, you're welcome to join in if you wish. I've got the invite there. So, yeah, there's not really a great deal that happened on the layout this week itself. As I said, I'm doing the wiring at the moment for the switchboard. I do have. I'll take you guys over to the section I'm working on. I'll try to bring the camera up a bit higher so you guys can see what I'm doing. I actually bear with me on this one here. I'm going to have to use the fly cam if I can get it out. Oh, there we go. Put it up in the other spot. Yeah, you guys can see it there. So I've got the new buses. They're a little bit big, but I mean, swapping out soon will work out all right. I'll stop them there at the town. I've got my stock pen there. As you can see, that's the way the kit is. It's going to be too big, so I really got to kit bash it. I have to take this off the platform, and I've got to narrow it down so my cattle trucks can actually come up onto the side here to load and unload. But I'm going to do that. Hopefully, I'm going to start onto that next week because I just want to get the wiring done for the layout at the moment. So it's progressing. It's progressing slowly. I was going to install the signals, but the signals that I have got, the signals that I have for the layout, I wasn't able to work out the electronics and how to fit these onto the NCE decoder. So what I've done now is I've got another shipment of signals coming. They should be here at the end of the week. the signalling system I'm using on my layout will be based on Australian British Rail signalling system. It's very similar in some parts to the American one, but it's more simplified without having too many signal heads and whatnot. It works on a similar principle. So hopefully by end of next week I can do that. I have completed. These are all my signaling decoders, all pre-wired. I've got a lot of wires in it, yes I know, but then I went to J-Car the other day, to an electronics shop, and I found these strips. These black strips here. Let me get another one here. I'll just use this for a minute. We've got these, they have these electronic strips, and they solder into the pad. And the good thing about these are you can use the wiring that they use on Arduinos, like this. The Arduino wiring jumper wires. And it's all right. You can speak to your brother. So with this, all I can do is just simply plug it into place, like so. And if I ever decide I want to change a signal down the track, all I've got to do is just pull that out and plug a new one in. So that's what I've done. So that's why I'm going with my signal detectors. Just make it a lot easier to swap out. Who knows, that decoder can burn out, and I want to be able to replace it in a very quick and simple method. So, other thing I have done, these are ready to go. Yeah, it is pretty simple. I'm trying to make it simple. There's a lot of work at the moment, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a simple process. Now, I've got these off. Now, I also done some, these took a while to do. These are signals as well, but these are going to go on the indicator boards that I'm making up, like this. And on the ends of them, I can actually place, like there's a spot there, I can actually put when I put a signal on, it actually indicate on my actual board. So that's what the trick is behind using these on the panel. So that's a progress I'm doing with that. Let me put this other one up so I don't lose it. Hey Wigwag, how are we going today? Hope you're doing well. So yeah, that's that part of it done. I'm trying to really I'm really not trying to get all this done within the next few weeks, because I'm going in for the operation on my right hand, and that's going to be basically down tools for me for about 2 months. So I want to get the layout in some sort of, how would I say, make it look like there's some sort of scenery, some sort of completion to it, and get more enjoyment out of it. Yeah, things with me, we work things up and down like a roller coaster at the moment. With the little one, I know people say it's an animal, but to me, she's like she's like my little daughter. Um, she's been with me through thick and thin for the last 7.5 years. My stepsister over in the US, she had a real bad lung infection, bronchial pneumonia lung infection. She hasn't been able to maintain oxygen. She is on the improve, but she's going to be in hospital for a little while longer. The little one, Gary, she's a little fighter. She's not giving in. She's got inoperable kidney cancer. We went down to the bottom of the pass yesterday, and in a little park. It was a little favourite park, so we went down there. And she just sat down, laid down next to me, and just enjoyed the view. She didn't go running around or anything like that. She was just enjoying it. And the place was getting a bit crowded, and she's like, I'm getting a bit uncomfortable here, start snuggling up. We came home and we just snuggled up a little bit and done a little bit of painting and modelling and whatnot, and she just snuggled up against my feet. Her back legs are not working as good as what they should be. The lump is actually pushing a fair bit on her left leg, so she's not using the back left leg properly. But she's a fighter, she's not giving in. I mean, for a creature that knows it's not well, she's a real fighter, not giving into it. So it's a good inspiration for other people to see what an animal or a creature like that can do, and not give in. And that's the whole thing. And we should never give in to our goals and what we want to achieve, and make the most of what we've got. So yeah, so really this week's been a boring week. I've been watching everybody's shows and whatnot, and you guys have probably seen I haven't really been chatting that much on it. It's just that I've had the soldering iron going pretty much full on all week, on and off, as well as spending time with the little one. At the moment, the last lot of LEDs I've got to do now is I'm pre-wiring all the LEDs for the panel, for the switch indicators. This one's already for one switch. This is already for one of the switches. I've got about another 7 of these to do. Then I've got to work out. There's one switch I've got to work out how the light's going to work on it, because it's a 3-way switch. And I've got some more BD20s coming. They should be here Tuesday from the US. I've got to work out how to do the light on that. Hello! Oh, here's trouble. You're welcome to come and join in if you want. Anthony Dodge, you're more than welcome to come and join in for a bit of a chit-chat, chin-wang if you want. Yeah, there was a little bit of a start with I did have myself a little bit made up for Halloween at the start, but yeah, it was a bit hard to breathe in that. Put it together in the last 10 minutes, so you're going to have to go back to the start of it, Anthony, and have a look. Next year, I promise I will do something better for next year. This last few weeks has been nuts. So, yeah, I was going to do myself as I was considering between the Drop Bear or Gary will know the Yowie. So yeah, as I said, it hasn't been really that much done scenery wise on the layout. Those buses are a tad big, but when I put them up next to the cars that I've got, but I've got a feeling those cars are a tad small. But I'll be able to get away with using some of these new. If I use these new series of cars that Matchbox have came out with, like this black Mercedes or the Honda Accord for me traffic, they will blend in nicely, as you can see. The trucks, yeah, they're on the borderline, so I can probably get away with it. I am getting a couple more. I will be getting a couple more of these coaches. So I've got a little bit of a fleet. They do have some. They do produce some old Australian double deckers and old service buses. Hey Melvin, how are we? Which I want to. One of them I want to paint up as to one of the bus companies that was in my area, in my town, called Rutties. It was like red roof, white and slides and blue. I want to do it up in those colour schemes. The other one I can leave it as it was, as green and tan. They're old Albion double deckers, and there are some single decks. Those are the ones we used to go to school with, and also used to go to, say, the beaches and the pools when we used to go have our swimming lessons. So, yeah, that's the plan on that town. Yeah, it might get a bit crowded, but I am going to change the scene on it once I finish it. I do have a switching tower you guys have seen in the mail call. Now that's going to come. That's going to go here, in this spot here, and I'm going to try to put a camera in it so one faces down the yard and the other one will face down the track, and it gets the well, I don't know how you want to call it, we call them signalmen here. You get the signalman's view of what the trains are doing. So I'm planning on doing that to it. Okay, here he is. He's in the basement now, and I'll bring him up.
The stray that she sometimes feeds. She's
Hi, guys.
Hey, Anthony, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. Well, it's been an interesting 2-3 weeks actually. So, let me change my scene. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. On the home front here in the home.
Hi.
Hello, Joyce. How are you, darling?
I'm all right.
Yeah, what's your layout?
He's a slave driver.
She was doing some singing today, and it wasn't going well.
Well, we got some.
Yeah, we finally took some time and, working on a couple of joke videos, and we were trying 2 different songs, and things just weren't working well. We finally got something done, so I've been editing it tonight.
It keeps
the
sanity going, eh? It keeps the sanity going. You got to keep active, otherwise you go crazy.
Well, that was the thing. We haven't done one in a while, and she felt like she had the voice today, but we're doing a couple of songs that are really tricky to sing, and
I had the time to give it to you.
Whatever. She's behind screen arguing.
Always.
I'm not getting into domestics, okay? I'm not going to be a referee. All right? I'll just put my hand on and I'll just go back to hillbilly style and kick myself.
It's all good, Rudy.
Yeah. I don't get involved too much in the home politics because I don't want to get blamed for anything.
No, that's right.
No, we always sort it out ourselves, but we always sort of. I've got something on the TV. I'm gonna. So if you see me doing this, it's because a big game is on TV and I'm watching it.
What the proper proper football?
American football.
American football.
Yeah.
The one that goes for 3-4 hours.
Yeah, if the way my team's playing right now continues, I don't want it to last 3-4 hours. I'll have a heart attack. But I can't go in my training room because my daughter and her friends are down in their in her sewing room, which is off. So you'd have all that noise behind me.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I did have myself done up for Halloween, but I think I did myself. I put it together a bit too quick, and I just couldn't breathe. So you'll have to see what I looked like at the beginning of the show. Yeah, I just haven't had time to prepare with everything that's going on. I was going to do. What game are you watching anyway?
It's Ohio State, Penn State, college football.
Okay,
and I'm a huge Ohio State fan.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. When it comes to college, I'm either South Carolina Gamecocks or Clemson. So,
well, we beat Clemson last year, so that's not a problem.
Not that I watched the game, but yeah, I just can't follow it. Yeah, Buckeye. Well, you see, my nephew, he went to South Carolina University down there at Columbia, so he's a Gamecock person. And where I've got the house is in the Clemson territory, so I'm sort of like on the fence between the two. I'll go for both of them, but when they come clashing together, it's like, well, I'll just sit on the sideline. Who wins is the winner. That's basically it.
Well, we live on the border. We live on the border between our biggest rival, Michigan. So yeah, we're very split here. But my family's been in the state of Ohio since before there was a state of Ohio. So we're very, very Ohio people.
Well, yeah.
If you go in American history, if the first American settlement, where after we became an independent country, 1788, the first settlement west of the colonies, west of the Appalachians, was Marietta, Ohio.
Right.
You're going down to Marietta, Ohio. 2 of the 88 guys that helped settle Ohio were my distant grandfather and his brother.
Right.
So we've been in Ohio since it was opened up.
So you can almost say that you're more or less a native Ohioan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So well, that's all right. Oh, did you see my comment?
Yes.
Now, are you willing to take Joyce to hell?
Am I willing to take Joyce to hell?
Yeah.
Well, she's already been to hell because it's only about 50 miles northwest of us.
Oh, you got another hell there, have you?
Yeah, we got Hell, Michigan. In fact, we have thrown snowballs in hell.
Oh, right. You can always take it to another hell. That one's a better looking hell. And you can go on your train ride too.
Yes. So yeah, we've actually thrown. We've thrown snowballs in hell, and but we got out of hell. Hell didn't want us.
Excuse me. Yeah. Well, it's funny when you can turn around and say to people, "I'm going to hell," and it's just over the other side of the border, isn't it?
Every time it snows and they get a big snowstorm up that way, some local news people will send somebody up there so they can do the snow in hell and snowball in hell joke. Some poor weather person or reporter has to go up there and do it. It's sad.
Yeah, it is. Well, You know, I was watching your stream last night and listening to it, and you really got me intrigued and get my memory back working on the old European trains, you know. And I always remember at my uncle's place, he had the old he lived on the main line that went from Zagreb down to the seaside, a split.
Okay.
And they used to have like 2 or 3 European trains that used to go through there, and tourist trains that used to go to the seaside.
Mm-hmm.
And they would either be made up in Belgrade, that used to be made up, someone used to come up the Orient Express, and some of the European trains, some came into Zagreb.
Yeah.
And they had a combination of these. I don't know if you've ever seen them in the stores with the European shops. They had 10 written on them.
It's not ringing a bell.
It's not ringing a bell. Keep an eye out for them because they were the international trans-European sleeping cars, and they used to go all over the European network. But you're really a piece of work. You really got me thinking about getting some now.
Well, someday I'll convert everybody to European trains, but no, I don't even know European trains. I know modern German trains. I don't know anything else.
But you see, this is the thing. You got to do your homework, Anthony. If you have a look, especially towards the eastern side of Europe, a lot of the rolling stock there has come from Germany.
Right.
Especially when you go back towards the beginning of World War II and after World War II, a lot of them acquired a lot of the German rolling stock. And they did so right up to, mid-2000s. About 2015, like in the last 10-year period or the last 20 years, they were getting all the old German stock down there in a lot of parts of Europe, especially the poorer parts of Europe.
Okay.
So you got up ahead.
Yeah, well, we see that. I mean, even in the time we did our German exchange program and our couple of trips without students, we've already seen sort of the pecking order. You know, you guys have heard me talk about how Joyce hated the Alex train.
Yeah.
And the passenger cars were the old Regiobahn cars from the 70s, 80s, and we rode on them in our first couple of trips to Germany before they were put out of service by Deutsche Bahn. And then upstart little regional companies buy them, paint them over, but they're definitely not as nice or modern as the newer ones that Deutsche Bahn has, or some of the more upscale companies like Metronome. Metronome runs nice, newer cars. They have the same double deckers that Deutsche Bahn has. They have the same solo single cars that Deutsche Bahn. They buy newer ones, but some of these smaller companies like Alex and Flix Trains, they have just old ones that Deutsche Bahn sold off, and they're not necessarily comfortable trains. You know, they go in and do whatever cheap job they can to make them serviceable and workable, but I mean, there's a reason Deutsche Bahn got rid of them, and these guys are using them.
And be like, we'll take them. They're affordable. We'll just take them instead of buying brand new stock. And that's been happening since. It's been happening since, as I said, since the late 40s, early 50s. It's been happening since then because Germany had to repay in some ways for the damage that was happened during World War II. So that was the way it got repaid. And the interesting thing is they still got the old 210 steam engine, the German steam engines working down in Bosnia and southern Bosnia on the coal fields.
Okay.
And they still got them running, and they also got some more tank engines from over there still running to this day.
Okay.
So yeah, it's what do you call it? Their stuff's all around Europe. But I noticed there's a documentary here where guys going around doing certain rail tours, but there's a lot of old Swiss and German trains that end up going into the Middle East and then into Africa too now.
Okay.
But they're all there.
Because Germany has a lot of old heritage steamers around. We've seen them at times, and we've also seen them parked at places. But they have special days, holidays or Sundays, where they'll let them, where they go through on certain lines. But I think we've only seen them a couple of times running. But when we were in Delmenhorst one morning, there was a heritage line, and we were like, oh, look at that nice train. And we all had to stand back because only people with special tickets who had bought them well in advance, and they're very expensive, could ride those trains. But, they were old DS, what was it? DGS, I forget, one of the old DSB, Deutsche Stadtbahn, either pre-World War II or right after World War II luxury cars. And people do breakfast runs where it picks them up at 6 o'clock, they go somewhere, and then it brings them back about 12 or 1 o'clock, and they get breakfast and lunch on the train. And but that's only on certain holidays and certain Sundays. The
Europeans got they got it, but over in Germany it's very interesting. But even Europe itself, their rail system is very, very interesting. And I'm getting the itchy feet to go over and check it out and see what's changed there, because I know they're modernising all the fleet down the former Yugoslavian territories. There's a lot of new trains coming into service there, and they're still repairing all the roads from the war, but the railroads from the war, but they're really upgrading. Serbia and Belgrade, well, that still looks like something. Let's put it, you were talking about colour schemes in your stream, but there's no such thing as colour scheme there. It's just all graffiti all over their stock and engines and carriages. It's a shame. But I'm glad that they end up saving the good old steam engine that was in front of the Belgrade station, and it's ended up in one of the museums in Croatia, I think it is, in Zagreb. She managed to go over there, so it's actually was a good thing they saved it.
Well, it's easy. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's easy, even in Germany, because you and I, we're old enough. There's a lot of young people. I think everybody here is plenty old enough to remember when Germany was two countries.
Yeah.
And in 2014, Joyce and I, with students, for the first time ever, well, we've been to Berlin and Potsdam, but Berlin's a different beast altogether. But we went down and stayed in the Dresden area. And once we went east of Dresden and south of Berlin, it was, you went back 30, 40, 50 years in time. It was very interesting. We were somewhere between Berlin and Cottbus, near the city of Calvi, and our train stopped at this tiny little station that had signs in 3 languages. Normally signs are just in German, but it was German, Polish, and Czech. And we stopped outside because we had to let another passenger train through. So we stopped outside before coming into the station. And right out the passenger windows, a couple of my students like, Mr. Dodge, what's that? We all looked out the window. And here is this farmstead. You had a big house, a larger barn, a tool garage, another garage, and then a tractor garage and a couple of sheds. And they were still bombed out. I mean, they clearly were destroyed during World War II and had just been abandoned.
Yeah.
And that they could have used that as a movie set for a World War II movie, because it just looks straight out of the movies. I mean, that's a horrible way to say it, but It looked great, and it really hit you. And then as we started pulling into the station, pull out, Joyce, who's a bit of a geologist, that's kind of her favorite thing in science because she emphasizes science when she teaches. She was looking at the fields and she says, "Look at all that land over there." And we're like, "Yeah." She says, "That used to be farmland. It's now overgrown, and you've got sporadic trees and copses of trees, but you could still see where at one time that land was tilled, but the population is gone, and you still see all the war damage." And it was really interesting to go back, in that case, 60, 70 years in time. And so you do see at some of these old stations, some of the abandoned cars, passenger cars, trains, locomotives. But what really hit you was that old house, and you immediately picture the story.
Yeah.
I'll have to check those out, Creepy.
Yeah, you were saying about Joyce being interested in the old geology and whatnot. So something I've been doing a lot last week or so. I was actually it's been a bit longer than that because I want to do your challenge, the warrior challenge.
Yeah.
Before my op.
Although that was the most misunderstood challenge I think anybody ever put out. Yeah, everybody thought it meant your oldest train. And I thought I made clear in the video, it didn't have to be your oldest train. It was your most beat up train, your most beat up locomotive that was still running. The one, whether it's 3 years old or 30 years old, that's why I called it the Old Warrior, because it had been beat up, it'd been through everything. But it's still, I should have called it the Timex challenge. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Those old commercials for the American Timex watches. That I guess I should have called it the Timex challenge. Maybe people would have gotten it there. I mean, I'm thrilled people did it, but I had people saying, "Well, I don't really have an old locomotive." It's not. No, I want the one you've knocked off the table. You've broken 10 times. You've crashed into other ones multiple times, and yet you put it on the layout, it's still working. You had to glue the frame here, you had to put something here to hold that in place, but it's been abused, but it keeps going.
Well, I've got to think. I've worked out where it is. It's in one of the boxes. But I was looking back at the history because one of the warriors that, well, some would say he was a warrior, some would say he's a barbarian, and my actual name is Attila.
Okay.
Right? That's what my mum called me. I don't go by the name Artie. I have been since the age of 15. So I'm been going back because Attila the Hun is known as the Huns, and I'm also got a Hungarian background. So I've gone back into the history of Attila the Hun and the Huns.
Right.
So you can imagine all the fun that I've been having with that one. And it's actually starting to put, even though I was trying to find the comedy side and trying to get close to the accuracy of what I intend to do, there's an old area in Mumstown that dates, there's an old church remains. They call it the church remains, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were talking about history and lost cities and that, like you were just talking about East Germany going through the spots and whatnot and seeing all those abandoned things. Here's this church in the middle of nowhere. There's no buildings around, and the history says that was like an inland sea once upon a time. There used to be an inland stream where the trade used to go in and out and whatnot. And when I was looking at the history of it, it explains how the Roman roads end up being where they are in the middle of the fun paddock, and they are still there.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yep.
To this day. But then all we've got is a church remains. So it'll be an interesting place for you guys to go and visit. Joyce would have a field day there. Yeah, she'd have field day. She'll be going in the cornfields and following the tracks and dirt roads. And we did find the dates and these original dates in the brickwork of that old church that goes to 945 AD.
Okay.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We've been inside at least one place. Well, all right. The oldest place we've been to, in Germany. Well, the oldest place we've been to in Germany was a Neolithic gravesite where some Stone Age king from 5,000 to 7,000 BC had been buried, or in, and they found all these rocks in a little place called Großenkneten. And so that was really cool to see that site, because our foreign travel is Germany, Austria, and the western part of the Czech Republic. We've been to Prague and a little town called Srenska in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
So we've been pretty much in every section of Germany, either on a train or specifically to visit sites, except the basically from the Black Forest north to Aachen.
Right.
Because we've never been in that region. I would love to go to Aachen and hit that area, because Aachen has Charlemagne's tomb and Charlemagne's temple and palace and everything. We've even been in the town of Paderborn where Charlemagne was supposedly born. But we've also been to a little town called Bramsche. And Bramsche is the site of the battle that's called the Teutoburger Wald, or Teutoburger Forest battle, where in 9 AD, the Germanic tribes wiped out 3 Roman legions.
That's right.
And to me, that was very cool to be there and see, because they're doing archaeological digs there. That was really cool. But I love castles. And so I have been in dozens of castles throughout Germany, and there are dozens more to hit. And of course, when Joyce and I are in the UK next year, we're going to hit a bunch of castles, because that's what we're really after. We're going to I like castles, and I love medieval warfare. That's my favorite military history. I think, like a lot of Americans, a lot of us that are into history, we do the Civil War, you do World War II history, and then I'm like, okay, cool, interesting. I did World War I, and I love World War I military history, but where my love really goes was hoplite and Roman warfare, Greek and Roman warfare, but really medieval warfare, especially in the UK, those wars against Wales, those wars against Scotland, or Scotland against England, those 3 countries going at it, Ireland going at it with them as well, the Vikings coming in. So really, really love that part of history, but anything up to the advent of gunpowder, any of that period. So the various Holy Roman Empire wars, I love that. The 100 Years' War, England and France, I love that stuff. So any chance I get to see that. But yeah, you want to go to, and the Romans called Hungary Pannonia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And and the thing is, we always think of Huns as these barbarians. The Huns were businessmen, like the Vikings. You think of the Vikings as these barbarians. They were business people.
Yeah.
And they only went to war if they felt they got screwed, but they would trade first. But if they felt they could get away with conquering, they would conquer, but they would trade. So
this is the whole thing, because the Romans, because like the Huns and the two of the Hun, they used to play they played the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were called, the Vandals.
Yes.
In that period of time. Right?
Right.
They pushed the Vandals out. The Vandals actually went down to the top end of Africa, where they basically reformed, and then they came back. They ended up going into Spain, into France, and then they came back. And by the time they started coming back, they're the ones that actually slowly started undoing the Roman Empire. But Attila the Hun, as the Roman historian wrote, Attila the Hun was a barbarian, but he was actually a businessman of its time. Yeah, it was a barbaric way how he did it, but he collected the wealth of the actual Huns.
Yeah, like so many tribes.
Yeah.
The Romans hire these people to come in and fight their battles for them because the Romans don't want to fight their wars. So they brought in the Huns. They brought in the Germans to fight the Celts.
Yeah.
They fought the Celts, and then they said, let's have these Germanic people fight the Celts for us. We'll pay them to fight. And then when the Germans started getting big, because the Vandals were a Germanic tribe, and the Goths and eventually the Franks, they hired the Huns to come in and help fight the Germans and said, okay, where you chase the Germans out, we'll give you this land. So the Vandals went down. In fact, the Vandals sacked Rome and then went down to North Africa and over to Spain. And then they, like you said, they brought them back, and then they finally got wiped out by the Lombards and the Franks.
Yep.
And it was a trade, and then the Saxons came in, and eventually the Franks with Charlemagne. Because what was the show I was watching? It made me mad. No, I'm sorry, it was a video game. We were playing this Assassin's Creed Valhalla video game, which is it's the Viking era in England, but they have a special extra part of the game where they play in France, and they're having Charles the Fat, not Charles the Bald, Charles the Fat as king. And he actually became emperor for about 6 years. He was the third Holy Roman Emperor because Charlemagne got it, Louis got it, then Louis's three sons split the empire up, and then Charles the Fat kind of recombined it for about 6 years until he died. But they gave him a French accent, which annoyed the crap out of me because he was born and raised in what is today Germany. He would have spoken an old Germanic dialect.
That's right, yeah.
And his father was called Louis the German. And so it's so stupid, but I get upset by stuff like that. He was not French. Why did you give him a French accent? He was German. Yes, he was in France. Yes, he controlled Paris, but he was German. Don't give him a French accent. They did the same thing in the Matrix movie. I get uptight about stuff like that. The second Matrix movie, there was a character called the Merovingian. And the Merovingians were a family of the Franks, the Frankish people, before Charlemagne's family took over. Charlemagne's great-grandfather killed the last Merovingian king and became king of the Franks. And but they made the Merovingian French. It's like the Merovingians were Germanic. They were not French, but they give them this French accent, what these, I see nothing. What are you talking about? And it's like Merovingians weren't French; they were German.
You see, this is an argument that we keep on having with the Turks. The Turks keep on claiming until the Hun has been theirs and not Hungarian, right? And well, the truth of the matter is, the Turks don't own it. They still haven't quite pinpointed the where the Huns actually came from. But if you follow a bit more of the history of the Huns, you can just about trace them back to the way their fighting skills and everything else back to the Mongolians. Because the Mongolians were the arrow men.
There actually is. There's actually is enough evidence that they were predecessors, that they were distant. Well, they were ancestors or connected to the Mongols, because the Mongols are several hundred years later. But you had who were first? You had was it the Huns, then the Scythians, and then I forget who else, and then or was it the Scythians and the Huns? But however it worked, they're all connected and related to each other, all these horse warrior groups. Yeah.
But, when I look back in tracing back in that history, and then, because I've been reading about some of because around our area, or Mum, Granddad's region, There's old historic steam engines and rail cars. Like as I said, there's a lot of old rolling stock.
Okay.
And I've actually discovered the dirty Germans. I don't know. They stolen all our technology. They stole so much of the Hungarian technology.
It's the story of all humans. Everybody steals tech from somebody else. Everybody.
You don't understand. I'm not politicizing this. I'm just saying this joking. But if you ever look at the Hungarians had the biggest, most powerful steam engine ever made in her time. The tank engine. It was a 212 2. It had 12 wheel configuration. And it was actually articulated in the middle so it could actually make the curves. Hey, David, how are you, mate? No, I'll send him. He can come up too if he wants. So they taken that technology. That was the first thing they stole from us, right? You know what?
Right.
The second thing they stole from us, and then Americans also decided to claim it for themselves, was a gas turbine engine. The jet engine.
What?
You know your jet engines?
Yeah.
It was Hungarian they invented that.
Yeah.
It was Hungarian.
Where is it? Hey, creepy, I'm going to correct you on something. Yes, Rudolf Diesel was born in Paris, France, but his parents were Germans. He spoke German, and he eventually moved back to Germany. They were from Bavaria. They went to France,
Yes.
had him as a baby, and then he went back to Germany. But he was born in France, but he wasn't French. He was German.
Yeah, but I said a lot of them, but when you have a look at the central part of Germany, and that part, you can pretty much exclude Switzerland. Switzerland was more or less, and still is, a neutral part of Europe, right?
Since 1648, yes.
Yeah, but when you look at a lot of them, everybody's been so scattered for thousands of generations. They've always been pushed away from their homelands and home ground. And he's watching football too. Okay, I might as well go and watch some football too. Hang on, football season's finished. I think the ladies' rugby is about to start, isn't it, Gary? Grippy? That's more interesting. But yeah, a lot of the Central Europeans, they've always been pushed away from their territory. They've always been scattered everywhere. You know, and they eventually do return.
Oh yeah.
Like the Hungarians, Hungary, it's a small country at the moment, but there's a lot of Hungarians all around Europe.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I believe it's actually
you have enclaves of them, especially because, for a long time, Hungary was a large kingdom.
Vlad
Tepes, known to most people as Dracula, Vlad Tepes, the Duke of Wallachia, he was a prince of the Hungarian Empire. Now, the Hungarian Empire was subservient to the Habsburgs, but the Hungarian kingdom or empire, I call it an empire because an empire is a combination of kingdoms, and they had different kingdoms inside of it. But then the Austrian Empire controlled the Hungarian kingdom, the Hungarian Empire. Vlad Tepes Dracula, he was a prince of the Hungarian Empire. In fact, he was deposed. He was deposed twice by the king of Hungary because he kept fighting the Turks while the king of Hungary was making deals with the Turks and giving them land, Bulgarian and Romanian land, to end the Turkish invasions. And Vlad was like, no. The thing is, stories of Vlad are heavily exaggerated. A lot of even what people say this is true, he did this, is not true. He did do a lot of horrible things. For example, he did once burn an entire village to the ground, but he wasn't the only person that ever did that. He burned a village down of his own people, including women and children, because they were helping the Turks. Vlad Tepes was one of the first guerrilla fighters. He is a hero in Romania. He is a national hero in Romania. And for years, the Hungarians hated the way he was, the Romanians hated the way he was turned into Dracula. If you mention Brad Stoker's name in Romania up until, I'd say, the 1990s, until after communism fell over there, they would hiss at you if you mentioned Bram Stoker, because they hated it. Now, because it's tourism money, they've got Dracula crap everywhere, but they hated years because it'd be like taking George Washington and turn him into a vampire or a zombie and a demon zombie or something like that, taking a national hero and turning them into something. We've already done that with Abe Lincoln because there's Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but that's a different story. But I want to go back. I want to go back to one last thing you said. You were talking about football season in your country's over. In the late 70s and early 80s, all through the 80s until they took it off, I used to watch Australian rules football, Victorian. The Victorian Football League?
Yeah,
I grew up watching that, and I loved it. And we even got a group of kids up here to get the rules and play it when I was in high school. When I was 17 and 18, we set up a field at my high school, and we got ourselves a rugby ball, and we learned the basic rules and would play, 5-on-5 or 8-on-8, whatever we could get. I loved it. I was a Magpies fan.
Magpies.
I think wasn't that Collingwood Yeah, that's probably an enemy team to you, but wasn't it Collingwood?
Magpies. How dare you? Wash your mouth out with soap.
I figured it was doomed, but what
the
heck?
Oh man, I thought you were a nice guy. I really did. I thought you were a nice guy. You go
Everybody
for the
thinks that about me until they learn the truth about me. I'm not a nice guy. I portray a.
Oh, shame on you!
I am an evil person. I am dark. Joyce, I'm evil, aren't I? Yeah, the Collingwood Magpies. Yay me.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the rivals were Carlton back then. I'm trying to remember.
And Hawthorn.
Yeah, and Hawthorn.
Yeah, because they're right next to each other. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Darn, I thought it was for me.
You got Collingwood, you got Carlton, and you got Hawthorn. They're all three together. Go Swans. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's a cynic team, but I'm sorry. I've been brought up as a Richmond Tigers fan.
Richmond. Okay, I remember them. I used to say anybody who would brag, like American football players are tough. I was like, look at rugby because they do the same thing as football, but without pads. And then I saw Australian football, and I told the rugby people to shut up. Because Aussie football was the toughest, hardest, meanest sport out there.
It was Celtic ball, I think it is. It's a combination of rugby league and Aussie rules thrown in together. That's an interesting one.
I remember the Swans.
Yeah. Yeah, the Swans used to be an old Melbourne team too. The Swans used to be. And I'll tell you an interesting one that we've got here, which now the season starts with that, and it's called touch football.
Okay.
You think rugby's bad. Touch football is even worse because it's like playing tag, but with the ball. Right? You don't have a full-on tackle where you jump on each other. This time it's just like a tag. And I tell you what, that tag becomes a slap and a punch. Then you know that. But
we used to play touch football as a kid because we would play on the gravel streets or the asphalt street. Yeah. So we'd play touch football, although it became tackle.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
You see, when what we call a touchdown here is when that actual ball touches the ground.
Right.
Not when you run over the line. That ball actually has to touch the ground.
Well, we stole the term. Yeah.
turn, but that
Yeah,
ball
because you had to
still
do it in
doesn't
rugby
have to
too.
work.
You had to touch it down. In rugby, you had to touch the ball down. Yeah, and
That's right. You actually got to touch the ball down, not just run over the line with it. You can push the player off the field, and there it is. You know, you can
but
lose the game. Yeah.
since we're going to talk about some of the tricky bits about sports, here's another one. You know how we Americans take a lot of grief for calling international football soccer because we're the only ones who do. Everybody else calls it football. We call it soccer. Well, the Canadians do too. We call it soccer, and everybody, you darn Americans. But we're not the ones who started calling it soccer. We call it soccer because of the British.
Yeah, well, here when they talk football,
Soccer was because original what you call football or Americans call soccer in England was called association football.
yeah.
It was called association football, and association got shortened down to soccer, and those guys brought it to America. And what are you guys playing? Soccer football, soccer football, and so we called it soccer. But it's their fault, not ours. We just used the word they gave us. If they called it football, we would have called it football. You know.
Yeah, well, so we call it football here.
Yeah.
But when the term football goes, it's now football. You mean rugby, soccer, or VFL? Which one?
Because as you know, in American football, it's rarely on the foot.
That's right.
We punt now and then.
Well,
we kick off now and then.
Yeah, we do, Gary. But yeah, it gets lost in the football term as well. But yeah, we do play soccer. I mean, I've got a young bloke next door. I used to play soccer, believe it or not. Even though my fat gut doesn't prove it that I did. But they got political, so I just walked away from it. It looks like a touchdown. He's got his,
yes,
my team,
after playing like crap, just awoke, and we've scored 2 quick touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm getting that.
Yeah, and in my school, it was always soccer too. My team, I'm not going to brag about it, but I mean, my school, when I was in there, we were, I think, 4 years we were undefeated. But mind you, the players that was on the team, I was one of them, but there was certain others. We played at other clubs after school.
Right.
And of course, you can imagine, like, the teams that we played for were actually pretty high-rated soccer teams here. So you can imagine when the whole heap of us got together in the school, and as a high school team, we used to go play against the other high schools. It was like, oh, geez, these guys are going to be a bit hard to beat 4 years in a row. We just missed out on bringing in we had what we call the Commonwealth Cup, which is between Australia and New Zealand. We just missed out on getting that cup over here in Australia, into our area, but it would have been good.
No, I played soccer when I was 12 and 13 years old, and that was back, including where I grew up. That's where you got called a sissy and got beat up because you were playing, soccer. Now, I played football in the neighborhood, but we didn't have teams. We didn't have organized league teams at that age. The private schools had it, but I didn't live in the private school area. The Catholic schools and the private schools had football teams. We didn't. They canceled it like 2 years before I was eligible to start playing. So I played soccer, but in my neighborhood, you got jumped. You got beat up for playing soccer but I got into soccer as like a 6 or 7 year old because we had a Scottish woman who was she was from like Ayrshire, Scotland, and she was our librarian at our elementary school, and she lived around the block from me. She lived kind of in my neighborhood. I lived in it was called low working class. And then across the street was upper working class, and her husband had died, and she worked as a school librarian to pay her bills. So she lived in a nice little house up the road a bit from us. So it was a much better neighborhood than we lived in. But she was a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
And we would talk about football. She says, I don't understand your American football. She'd, and that throaty Scottish accent.
Yeah.
But she was a huge Liverpool fan, and she used to tell me all the time, "Oh, Liverpool just won. Bill Shankly, Bill Paisley, give me all the names of Liverpool." And I became a Liverpool fan, and it helped because I was already a Beatles fan, and the Beatles were from Liverpool. So at the age of 6 or 7, I became a Liverpool soccer fan. And back then, our local newspaper carried it wasn't the Premier League back then, but the English League scores.
Yeah. I've got a couple that come around and visit me, and I don't have the shirt anymore. And they, me and the lady or the woman, we like brother and sister. We grew up together since we were kids. And her husband is a fanatical, Liverpool supporter.
Okay.
And when he comes around and starts carrying on, especially when it's in the season, getting close to the final season, I had a red Manchester United shirt. He hates Manchester United. I put that on.
No, I had one of the videos.
Gary, sorry, just a minute. Gary, you used to do Port Kembla High. Port Kembla Junior School. So you would know, I don't know how long ago that was, but you might know a bloke by the name of Steve Bott then. So I'll see if he knows that. Sorry about that, Anthony.
Oh, no, because I'll talk, me, I'll talk forever, given a chance.
Because Port Kembla is just over the hill from me, and it's within my area where we grew up. I'm slowly learning about Gary, find out his secrets without him knowing.
No, the thing is, none of my family are Liverpool fans because we got a soccer game, for the computer and then eventually for the various game systems. But I was always Liverpool. So my oldest daughter, the next best team or the best team in the game was Man United. Those were the Sir Alex Ferguson days. So she's a big Manchester United fan. My second daughter became an Arsenal, Arsene Wenger, and Chelsea fan. And then my son somehow became a Newcastle United fan because I was always Liverpool, so they had to pick other teams in the game to play. But I was in Germany in, what was it, 2004? No, it had to have been 2006. It was 2006 because I think it was our first trip up to Hamburg. And Joyce and we sent our kids off for a bit, gave her, okay, guys, you can go get lunch over there. There's some cool buildings over there. You've got an hour and a half free time. And so Joyce and I are walking through the square in front of the Rathaus. And there's this guy with this giant backpack, big antenna, and a microphone. And he walks up to him and starts speaking German. And so I answer him in German. And he starts saying, okay, because the Euro Cup was in Germany that year, or the World Cup, I forget which one. But so he starts talking to me, and he's, so where are you from? And I said, the United States. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys don't know, you Americans, you're not into soccer. I'll find somebody else. I said, whoa, time out, Tex. Stop reading the media. Soccer, and I start explaining to him in German, soccer is the most played sport in the United States. There are more kids in soccer than football, basketball, and baseball combined. Just because our men's national team sucks. And at the time, our women's team had 2 World Cup wins. I said, you guys forget that our women's team is the best in the world. We've been ranked number 1 for 20 consecutive years or whatever, 15 consecutive years at the time. And I start rattling off soccer. So he's like, okay. So talk to us. What team do you see winning? I said, well, Netherlands looks like they've got a good team going. And I start listing some of the players on Netherlands. What do you think about Germany? He says, well, of course I'm rooting for Germany because, I start mentioning players, and you could just see this guy's eyes going. I said, not all Americans are of soccer.
Yeah. No, I lost interest in soccer way back in, I think, 91, 92. It just got political. It just got way too political, and started becoming too racial as well. Racially political. And the worst part of it is was within with our own clubs and in our own ethnic background clans. And it's like,
Okay.
no, that's it. I'm walking right away from it. That's it. I'll wash your hands and see you later. We had teams here that was known, Gary probably will know about it. Used to have like South Coast Croatia, Sydney Croatia, we had Melbourne Croatia, we had Sydney Olympics, which were the Greeks, then we had Marconi, which we knew was Macedonians and so forth. But what got me off track was when you had Sydney Croatia. Pardon?
No, I'm sorry. I was smiling at Joyce because we were having a little laugh because you said Macedonians. I've been told by a mafia guy it's Macedonians. We are not Macedonians. We are Macedonians.
I'll call him Greek.
I'm going to argue with that dude. He might have had me shot and buried somewhere. He was clearly a criminal guy. He owned a bunch of chain restaurants in here, and I hooked up with him in a bizarre twist of trying to find support for some of my exchange program. No, that was before exchange. Oh, that was helping the Russian guy. And somehow I got name to name, and I got put up with this guy. He was clearly mafia, Macedonian mafia.
It was funny. I work with the Macedonians around here. I mean, we're a mixed group here. We get along all right. But when they start carrying on or whatnot, I just turn around. Would you just shut up? You're just a Greek reject. That's what a Macedonian is, a Greek reject.
Oh, yeah. And I guarantee you, the gentleman I'm talking about would have shot you.
Yeah. Oh, heck
yeah.
That would not have gone over well.
Yeah. He gave me a bunch of Macedonian history stuff and pamphlets. He was very proud of his heritage, but there is no way he wasn't mob. He was clearly a gangster. He owned restaurants, but he just he had that air, and I grew up around criminals. He had that air that you knew he was a mob guy. He was a big shot in a mob, whether it was his own mob or he was a big shot in somebody else's organization. He clearly was a mob. I look back and I think of some of the people I've somehow met and got to know, and it's like, man, I've known a wide variety of people.
See the comment that Gary's turn around says is asking me, and I am still alive. These people know me down here.
I'm still alive because when a guy's a mafia guy, I just say yes, sir.
I was going to say it's pure instinct and experience.
Survival's a good instinct. I tried not to cross those guys. I crossed a lot of tough guys, and I'm still here to talk about it. But I grew up fighting.
I see. I've got a mixed breed in me. See, my native background is Hungarian, which became parts of Serbia. So I've got a Hungarian Serbian in me. My stepfather is a Bosnian Croat. So if you start going down if you start following those people that you can say the bloodline that's within me, I might be a quiet person, but if you want to go and look at those type of people can be, if you rub them the wrong way.
Oh yeah.
Hey, where's Makedonskis? I mean,
you gotta remember, I'm German. You gotta remember, I'm German. Look what happens when you rub us the wrong way.
But my stepfather's also got Italian blood in him, so I'll cover the whole Europe, just almost the whole Eastern Europe.
We're all mutts. I mean, I'm 3/4 German, but through that 1/4 that's not, I've got English, Scottish, and Lord knows what else in me. But I'm an American, and all Americans are mutts.
If I see I can play poker with 5 hands now, I'm going to turn around and say, now, which card am I going to play this time? Am I going to do the hum, the Croatian, or do I combine those two together? Do I do the Bosnian Croat together, or?
See, Artie, you just missed 1991 when you could just say you're Yugoslavian and have it covered. But that ugly divorce Yugoslavia had, where now I'm Bosnian, Croatian, Serbian, and they all hate each other.
Well,
ugly
there was an advantage of that war for me when I worked for Ansett. right? There was a benefit out of that war because I don't know if you know in airline companies, they always give you a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? You used to get a certain subsidy for each language you knew how to speak, right? So
Okay.
before the war, all I knew was English, Hungarian, and basically so it was Yugoslavian, which was actually Serbian, Croatian combined,
Serbo-Croat, yeah.
right? But when it split up, I had 5 languages because they split up and go, I can talk Croatian, I can talk Bosnian, I can talk Serbian, Hungarian, and English. So that means you guys owe me an extra 2 languages. but at that time, we had, I'll never forget the game. It was Sydney, Croatia, and Melbourne, Croatia playing together in Sydney.
Okay.
Yes, the referee messed up. The linesman messed up, which happened. And there was a bit of dirty play from both sides. But when they both started bringing the ethnic cleansing and all that trouble together, the Melbournes were the worst. One thing in Victoria, it's a wonder they're still alive down there as it is. I mean, with all the drama that's been going on since this epidemic started, most of the trouble's down there, and you can see why. They will not get along with each other.
Mm.
I just stood up and go, you know what, guys? And this is before the Civil War happened. And I'm looking at my clock and I'm going, look, there's a plane leaving Sydney Airport in another 4 hours. Be on it. Go back to where you come from. That's it. And I walked away and resigned.
Let's go.
That's it. The end of me for soccer.
So, yeah, Gary is creepy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So Gary's saying he's 5th generation Australian. I am, I'm very many generation American through the Dodge name, but 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in Germany. But one was Prussian, one was Bavarian, and one was Rhenish. And, you talk about that here in Toledo. Toledo had a very large German population. And there are 7 different German organizations. Now, they all come together and call themselves the 7 societies. But it is 7 different groups, including a Swiss German group. But you have the Bavarians and you have this group and that group, because even in Germany, you talk about the Bosnian and Serbian ethnic stuff. Even among Germans, there is territorial things. Prussians dislike certain people. The Prussians don't like the Saxons. The Saxons don't like the Prussians. Yeah. And nobody likes the Bavarians.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Now, it's usually done
and
in fun.
It's actually going back to what, because of the Bavarians and Parisians, if you have a look at their railways as well, they're different. They have 2 different gauges, so they didn't mix in with each other.
Yeah.
3 different gauges.
Well, the Bavarians were always a little different because the Bavarians always sided with the Habsburgs. The rulers of when the Habsburgs took over the Holy Roman Empire, the dukes and later kings of Bavaria almost were always allied with them until about the 1800s. But from the 1400s to the 1800s, they were always allies because from the Reformation on, Bavarians and Austrians were Catholic and the North was Protestant. Yeah. And so that's where that really comes in. But then the Habsburgs and the Bavarians had a split, and the Bavarians were kind of on their own. But Bavaria has always been a very wealthy part of Germany. And, Bavarians are Bavarian first and German second. Whereas the rest of Germans try to be German, but Bavarians are, I'm Bavarian. Now, they'll tell the rest of the world they're German, but, they're Bavarians. They're Bavarians first. And
so we have the same problem. We have the same issue with the Hungarians, to see where the region where Mum comes from, which is basically, actually it's hard to tell, but we really do, the way my eldest said, that was the original part of Hungary, between there and up to Budapest. And
Okay.
that was a neutral area. Like we're about an hour south of Pest. But that was all, as I said, there used to be an inland sea. That was where all the produce and what do you call it? Your corns and all your necessities was grown and everything else. That was your main trade center.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always been split. Even to this day, they are split. I mean, you go to a Hungarian, like I've had it too. I mean, but that's the music. I mean, that down here again, Melbourne. Gone to a Hungarian house because I've got a Hungarian background. I've got musical background. I was in the band, the Hungarian band, basically. And we went to what we call a Hungarian house, started playing there. They said, "Oh, you can't play here. You're not proper Hungarians."
We have a decent Hungarian population here in Toledo. We had a very East Toledo. In fact, that's the most famous thing out of Toledo. Well, there was the TV show MASH. Again, if anybody remembers MASH, Corporal Klinger was from Toledo. And he
was your neighbor, right?
He would talk about, the actor was, Jamal Farah, or Jamie Farr, as he's known to the outside world. But I played with his nieces and nephews. I knew his nieces and nephews. They lived just, again, around the corner from us. Also, Danny Thomas's family lived around the corner from us. Yeah. Danny Thomas was Lebanese. Very few people know that. But then again, who remembers Danny Thomas? But anyhow, but there's a famous hot dog place in Toledo now, Tony Paco's. I mean, Klinger really made it world famous.
Yeah.
That Hungarian hot dogs.
Mm.
And so, and Jamie always talks about how he grew up on the Hungarian side of town, which was Toledo. About 2/3 of Toledo is west of, Toledo's sort of like a triangle shaped that way. And then if you take like a corner out of that one triangle, there's East Toledo, which is simply a designation. It's not an actual official name. There's a river called the Maumee River that runs kind of diagonal. And there's East Toledo, which is about 1/4 of the city of Toledo, and then the rest of Toledo. And the northern corner of East Toledo was the Hungarian section of town. And that's where Jamie Farr hung out. He actually lived on the north side, on the western side of the river, which was actually by that time it was becoming Polish, but it started as German.
Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Hey. Yeah. So I know like Cleveland had a big Croatian/Serbian population too.
Yes, Cleveland has a large Slavic.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Hey, Rick.
Oh, wait. Gotta get my entrance going. How's it going, fellas?
Yeah, we can fix you up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Where's my knife? Hang on.
I like that shirt you got on there. I already did the trimming.
His beard or his tree?
Well, I'm
Put your bandage back on again.
Oh my.
You look better at the beginning anyway. Hey, I might as well bring Jerry up too. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Hey, guys.
Yeah, hang on. I better bandage up the beard too while I'm at it.
Funny you should be doing that, Artie. Artie, funny you should be doing that because 39 years now? No, 38 years? 38 years ago, yesterday was the first time Joyce and I saw each other, and I was dressed as a mummy.
Oh my gosh.
38 years ago.
That is very true.
I was dressed as a mummy.
I was trying to peel his wrapping.
And she kept trying to take my bandages off.
I found him very interesting.
That's not when we first started dating. It was a month and it was 5 months later we started dating, but that was the first time we met. I was dressed as a mummy and she was dressed as an armchair quarterback, meaning she didn't have a costume, but that's what she called it. She had a baseball cap and a sweatshirt on.
Hey, Melvin. Well, I couldn't find my gorilla mask. I like my gorilla mask. I don't know if you've seen in some of the other videos I put on. I've got the big ugly gorilla mask. That's my favourite one.
Hi, Dwight.
Hey, I haven't been able to find it, but I really want to do something like an Australian Yowie or a drop bear for Halloween. But with the way things have been the last 3-4 weeks or 3 weeks here now, I just haven't had the time to concentrate on getting things ready for it. But I will make up for it next year. I will make up for it. So watch this space.
Let me make that note so that we know to bug you for next year. Artie going to dress.
Yeah.
Put it on my calendar.
Always dress
Yeah,
up.
well, I overdid it the other year. I think I always overdo it. Like over here, it takes about that 2-3 years for the kids to get the nerve to come back knocking on my door. I get that real, and they just. You see the cartoons when you see the kids running in the middle, the people are running in the middle of the air. Yeah, that's what the kids end up doing here. Yeah. I mean, I had skid marks going out the front gate the last year before, the first year I moved in there. Yeah.
Artie, what time is it over there?
Lunchtime.
Oh, it's not
12:35.
Okay, so they're 15 hours ahead right now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
15?
So you guys
Sometimes it's
go.
14, sometimes it's 15.
Yeah, so you guys are now behind next week, aren't you? Daylight saving ends next week, doesn't it?
Next
Yeah,
Sunday?
yeah. Yep. Next Sunday.
Yeah, so my streaming will be, instead of being 8 o'clock, it'll end up being 7 o'clock your time. No, I don't have to dress up. That's right, Gary, I don't. I just have to growl and they're gone. Yeah. Well, creepy knows my area here in Berkeley. If I come swinging out with a baseball bat, I've got this little baseball bat. If I come out with that in my doorstep, they're gone. I'll go and get him. I'll go and get my buddy. Hang on.
So, Anthony, have you been on this whole time here?
I came on, about an hour ago?
Okay.
Maybe longer.
Yeah,
He asked me to. I don't know why anybody would ask to put me on camera, but he was begging me to. So,
it's all right.
Seriously, he's like, Anthony, you want to come up? Come on up. And I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of watching. Oh, come on up, Anthony. Okay, I won't be in my train room because my daughter has a sewing room off my train room, and she's got friends, and they're all sewing. So, and I'm in the living room, so I could watch my Ohio State Buckeyes play badly, but they're winning right now.
So you're watching football, talking to Artie.
Yeah, I'm living the life.
Yeah, you're living his life.
Joyce is Christmas shopping.
Christmas shopping. I'm showing things out.
So, and Joyce will, honey, what do you think of this for one of the kids? Go for it. I don't care.
So what did you get me for Christmas, Joyce?
Same thing you got her. Just regifting it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, okay.
He asked what you're getting, Artie. For
Just send
Christmas.
me the box back too, will you? Well, let me show you this one. Now on the bottom of this, you might just see it's called Tire Buddy.
Tire buddy, yeah. Use it for truck. Yeah.
I'll go swinging with this outside the door, and the kids go running. But you have a look what's in the middle of it.
Oh, and here I thought it was one of those fancy pepper shakers.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's a chili
that looks like a billy club.
well,
Looks like an old time
I'll go
billy.
walking out with this, and the kids go running.
Truck drivers use it to beat on tires, to check the tires.
Yep.
That's right. As it's set on it, and it's actually got. It's even got it like where I was walking outside one time, and the cop says, "Oh, you're walking around with a baseball bat," and I go, "No, it's a tool." Because it's actually got it marked.
It says what it is, right?
Yeah.
There. Tire
The
buddy.
tire buddy, yeah.
Yeah, think about it.
No,
Yeah,
three of my cousins were all truck drivers. They were cross country truck drivers. They were my cousins, but they were like 30 some years older than me. They were actually my dad's nephews, but they were the same age as my dad because my dad was an baby.
Well, we had a couple little rat bags here, and they next door neighbour, he does night shift as well, and they were starting to ring the doorbell or whatnot, and started ringing the doorbell just to wake him up, and I was sketching him, and I'm going, okay. They see me walk out with this baseball bat. And I don't know if you guys seen any footage of my yard. I've got a football field on the other, opposite my front door. They were on the other side of the far end of the football field quicker than you can blink. They knew they were in trouble. We did not see them in this area for nearly 6 months. They started coming back out and was talking and go, hang on, I'll just go and get me buddy, and I'll get me buddy out and they gone. Have not seen him now for 9 months now. So I think I got the message. Yeah. So what's going on, Rick and Jerry?
Nothing. I was doing a live stream and we were starting to peter out. And then Rick said you were on, and we said, let's go over and see what Artie's up to.
And an Ivy? Yeah. I wasn't thinking about being this late. So what time's yours? Actually, let's have a discussion about this. What time's your stream, Jerry?
Well, I
Your
started
time.
7 o'clock my time.
7 o'clock your time. Okay.
Yeah.
Because what I want to do is this is what I want to do. I want to do a regular live stream, which preferably on your Saturday. I want to give in the time that's going to be suitable for most people over there. Because most of my viewers are from the US. I do have Gary here and a couple others, and I don't want to interfere with the regulars like Jerry, Rick.
But I'm not a regular.
Yeah.
Really. I just started doing this, and it doesn't matter. I mean, if you pick a time that you want to do it.
Yeah, because at the moment it's 8 o'clock, but now you guys going back an hour, that means it's going to be, because I'm doing it for 11 o'clock here, because half of us are awake here in Australia.
Yeah.
Apart from these country munchkins that, want to be movie stars in Mossvale, which is Gary, creepy. Yeah, well, it's about 11 o'clock here, that means at the moment it's 8 o'clock. You going back an hour, that's going to make it 7 o'clock your time on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And if I go back to work next year, this time work out great because I'll be on night shift and I don't have to change my time schedule.
I think it would be fine. Like, I mean, because then you wouldn't have to be like the stream I did last week was 5 hours. That's a long time. I mean, like,
Crazy.
if you just did an hour and then you went to somebody else's stream and did some time there too, I think it's just kind of like everybody gets a little bit of time.
Yeah, like you get bored with one, Yeah. It's like doing a pub. This is getting almost to a thing like what we call here a pub run. Instead of going to a pub,
Yeah.
you go from one stream to another and go, okay, let's go and hang out on that side. Let's go and hang out on that side. Yeah.
Well, that was last year at the height of COVID. I had Wednesdays off work, and I would start at 8 a.m. with somebody in the UK, and then Tim came on at 9, and then Chris Whittingham, Chris Hale's Heritage Railway, came on at 11. Somebody else came on at 1, and I would spend all of Wednesday in live streams. But it was a godsend. I mean, I was stuck at home. We didn't go anywhere. Stuck at home. I worked from home Wednesday. Technically, I was supposed to be working, but I had to supervise things that nobody ever showed up for. So I'd just be sitting with a Google Meet on the right-hand side, just waiting to see if somebody came in.
Mm.
Never happened.
Yeah.
What? It's optional? I don't have to show up? Oh, well, then I won't show up. But I had to be there.
Right.
So,
Well,
okay.
last week for me was like, look, I've got a lot of stuff I've got to get done here. Just time ticking. My worst days is Mondays and Tuesdays. Because Mondays you've got the Sidetrack Sunday. The Sidetrack Sundays here in the morning. And then you've got, pardon?
That's an important one.
Oh.
Well, that is the most important one. I got interrupted with last week's stream. I'll tell you what, the person got.
I'm still with you. He's gone.
They had a they got abused quite severely because I was interrupted during that stream last week. And then of course you got Heath's show on Tuesday, and there's 3 shows on Tuesday. And I'm like, this last week I just had to sit on the background and just keep on silent because I've got all the toggle switches done. Oop, I've got a whole heap of toggle switches soldered together.
Who's the 3 shows
on
on
my
Tuesday?
panels.
Well, for him, it's Tuesday.
I'm a day ahead of you, Jerry. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm a day ahead of you. So your Sunday's my Monday. Your Monday's my Tuesday.
So who else streamed on Monday?
Tom, Heath.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Crossing as well. So I'm swapping between Nick's and Tom on Mondays now. But I've done a whole heap of switches. These are my installation switch to isolate my tracks. I've got, I'll bring up the big screen. I've pre-soldered all the LEDs for my signal indicators on the panel.
Yep.
Right, I've got these done.
Looks good.
You've been busy.
So I'm only my railroad live stream at the moment. Plenty of other stuff. Okay, so we'll just keep it at these times then. And now what I'm working on, which I hope you get done by tonight, is these are the switch indicators for the LEDs. I've got 2 different sizes. The big one's going to be mainly I've got using the blue and red, which is going to be for my electric lines, and then I've got the small ones that's going to be using for the side. Basically, a branch line. These are all going on my display panel.
Okay.
Okay.
So these, it'll look all right when I'm finished with it, but there's a lot of soldering. Plus, you've got resistors on the bottom of these.
It's a lot of work.
To do. It's a lot of work. And I don't have a Chinese girlfriend that can do it for me a lot quicker, so I've got to do it myself.
You need one, I guess.
Yeah, I need one. I need to get one from one of those. I need to get one from one of those places where they make the trains. You know, the ones can work with the fine detail stuff.
Yeah.
So kids get more kits made for yourself.
Yeah, you're right about that, Anthony. There's always somebody on somewhere.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be someone somewhere. I mean, but I noticed there's a little group. I mean, there's a small group amongst that small group and a community we sort of follow each other around the place, and a good crowd too. So, yeah.
Anthony.
So, what are you up to, Jerry?
Nothing.
Hey?
Nothing. Nothing.
Well,
just wait.
My side here, will recommend Rita out. I don't know if you would.
I don't think she
I
solders.
don't know if he would.
I don't control Rita. She's a girl of her own will. I don't.
As we all are.
Let's put it this way, Gary.
They heard you, yeah.
They did. I raised my voice.
Let's put it this way, Gary. It's like lending your wife out. You don't you don't lend them out to anybody. Well,
No.
I'll show my layout. This is how the layout's progressing so far. I'm going to have to get another camera at the other end.
Hey, Thomas.
But the cattle yard that I had,
Split Rock. How's it going, Tom's?
my cattle yard that hey, Thomas. Split Rock, there you go. I've got to redo the cattle yard here, the tip bash shed. It's just a little bit too big or too wide. So I've got to kit bash it. It's pretty much, I've got the plastic to do the station building. So I've got plenty to do in the next 2 weeks to get it.
Artie.
Yeah.
Artie, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Move closer to that camera. Go over to that camera for
Another
me.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go closer. Come to the camera.
Don't trust him, Marty.
Don't
What do you
break
like
anything.
I
Well,
think you want to know what
I'm
that
wondering-
engine is there.
Talk.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
I think your microphone in StreamYard is set to this camera, and that's why you sound so far away. Now you sound clear.
It would be, yeah. Yeah, it would
All right,
be.
that's why. Except
I
I was
will
having
end
a hard
up.
time understanding you, and I think that's why.
Yeah, all I
So the
have
main
is.
camera's behind you, but you got your microphone set over there.
Artie, what scale do you model?
Is
Yeah,
it
well,
Joe?
HO.
That's it, Joe. I think it's it, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Joe.
That engine
Hey,
looks.
Joe.
That engine looks like it's O scale or something.
Just the camera.
Guess so.
Which one?
Yeah.
I don't know that thing with the red.
The engine that's on the back of the truck?
Is that what?
Oh, it's on a truck.
Which end?
It's sitting on a truck.
It's on the back of the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what was going on there. It looked like an engine, but it's on a trailer.
Yeah, it's on the trailer.
Referees are throwing this game.
So down
Anthony,
the far end, I've got to redo the.
Going to be in and out now. Horse auction is on. Buy us all a horse, Melvin.
Hey, everyone, how are we?
Anthony, is your Buckeyes starting to lose?
We're winning 17-10, but Penn State's trying to score, and the referees are doing everything they can to help them.
They're playing Penn State.
Yeah.
Oh man, go State.
Whatever.
No, because Ohio State owns the Big Ten. The Big Ten refs do everything they
So what I'm
can.
doing
to make
on
Ohio
the
State
layout.
lose. You can't watch a game where Ohio State plays where the other team doesn't get twice as many penalties, well, half as many penalties as Ohio State does. We own the Big Ten. We win it every year. But anytime there's a tight game, you'll see Ohio State called for 15 penalties. The other team called for 5, especially when we play Penn State. Penn State's not a popular team in this state.
Yeah, I'm sure. Where are they playing?
In Columbus.
Yeah. It's tough.
Penn State's coach is apparently going to be going to USC or LSU after this season.
I used to be a Penn State fan. I still like them, but I don't follow them.
and then
Yeah.
Cleveland plays Pittsburgh
Oh, what
tomorrow.
is it?
But, yeah, this is a big game, and they put it on the evening. Originally, it was supposed to be an afternoon game, and they moved it to the evening.
One day when I get back over there, I'm going to go sit with someone that's going to explain me the rules, and it's going to take me probably about 2 weeks to explain it to me because your games are all just nuts.
Yeah, I got
You got
nothing for
offense, defense team, you got all that sort of stuff. It's like we just have everything on the field all at once.
I can't help you, Artie. I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe
my Sundays are taken up with Barbies and GI Joes. I can't help you there.
I remember those days.
So you're the Ken doll, are you, Rick?
Watched
You're
it.
the Barbie doll.
Yeah, that's my Sundays. I'm just hanging with the kids. I got nothing on Sundays. Wife doesn't watch any sports. I don't watch any sports. You know, Sundays are quiet.
I just don't lost interest in it. I mean, I do enjoy it. I do watch it. I look at the scores, but I can't sit in front of watching games in day out. It's like I like my movies once in a while, but over here we just get bombarded with sports and every channel you look at.
Well, Artie, what's your big sport over there? What's your big sport?
We got rugby league here, which is a lot rougher than your football.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go into cricket. Now, I find that the most boring game ever. Baseball's more interesting than cricket.
Do you have baseball?
Baseball's too slow for me.
Do you have baseball, Artie?
Baseball is picking up here. It's not as big as what it is over there.
Okay. Do you have basketball?
Oh, yeah, we got basketball here too. We've got a local team. It's called Illawarra Hawks. We actually got a few Hawks.
Hockey? You have hockey?
Hockey.
Hockey.
Yeah, not as big.
Okay.
Hockey.
Hockey.
We haven't got ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
But we
Old
have
enough
got
for hockey either.
What
I
did you
can't
say?
watch hockey either. I can't keep my eyes on the puck. It's like, it's watching a ping pong game. It's like I get
Yeah.
not for hockey either.
Yeah, so like all this time, I wasn't subscribed to you, Artie. So now I just
Hey.
subscribe to you because I would see you here in the live stream. So obviously you can't click on people in the live stream. So if
Yeah.
you weren't, like YouTube really screwed everything up when they changed it so you couldn't click on people to subscribe to them right away. So you had to do a little bit of effort to it. But yeah.
I think they've got into that. I know there's been issues here in Australia regarding privacy and stuff like that with stalking and everything else like that, and they've changed a few things in regards to it because people used to go, oh, yeah, that person looks interesting. I can easily stalk them, and also they cut back on those trolls and stuff,
I'm sure that's probably why they did it here too.
But they have been starting to crack down here in Australia with trolls and people that are, what do you call it? All the troublemakers that are basically within the social media world.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it is. I think it's Facebook Facebook or Google. One of them two are in a lot of strife at the moment with the system here in Australia. They've been actually taking the court over it. I think it was a breach of privacy or something. Or something like that. And yeah. You lost over 1,000 subs over yeah. Well, that's what happened to my other channel, like my own personal channel.
Wow, really?
There are people here that do it for the sake of the money. I'm not here for the sake of the money. I'm here for the sake of the hobby and friendship and stuff like that. I don't care about the money side of things.
Yeah.
Right.
As stupid as it sounds, I'm not here to make a big buck.
Well, I
Well,
mean, the only way you're making big money on YouTube is to have a lot of subscribers.
Yeah,
I mean, a
but
lot.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a job.
For me, this is just a way of people with the same interest getting together, socialising, and becoming a gang. Not a
Yeah.
violent gang, but I mean a gang.
Yeah.
You know, we're a gang sort of thing. Rock roll gang, and they're going out doing drawing spikes and putting track together out in the real world. We're just doing it in miniature formation.
Yeah. I mean, it's like hanging out at the bar or hanging out at the wherever.
Exactly.
with
That's
better
right, Jeff.
bathrooms.
Yeah, better. Yeah, you got your own bathroom. You got your own.
Yeah, you don't share that, and you drink what you want, and just the
Yeah.
problem is when you get to the bottom of the bottom of it,
Don't
you
have
don't
to
have a
dress up.
barmaid.
You don't have to worry about somebody puking on you.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about what colour shorts you wear, or if you put shorts on at all, or long pants, or anything like that.
That'll look good from
And
here
you,
up.
and you see here from here up, so you have no idea what's going on below. Be
Yeah.
careful down there, Rick. And
Boom, boom.
Atta girl, Rita, atta girl.
no, it's funny you mentioned privacy laws because, like in Germany, you can't do street level Google Maps. In Germany, it's only allowed in large public concourse areas, but you can't go into neighborhoods and do a Google Map because it's their privacy. So, I can go to Google Maps and somebody from Google drove down our street and took a picture of everything. And sometimes you see the neighbor, their car, and they do blur out the car license plate. But in Germany, you can't do that.
Well,
So
I think it's good. I don't think it's right. I mean, it's nice in a sense if you're looking for somewhere and you can kind of get an idea of where you're going and what you're looking for. But I can see the bad that can happen from it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything with social media. It's going to be, it's human, so it's going to have a good side and a bad side to it.
Right.
I talk about that all the time. We watch a lot of streams, and we all say, "What a great community you are! What a great community you are!" But I've only been in the live stream world for a couple of years. Well, a year and a half I've been live streaming, but 3 years on the model train circuit. I've been witness to and even caught up in a lot of drama. So even our community, we want to say, hey, model train guys, we're a great community. No, you've got feuds and groups that don't like each other and people who don't like each other.
Very true, Anthony.
Because we're human.
Yeah. It's no
as long as human made, it's going to have the same human issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. But mind you, what you said about Google Earth over in Germany, that was the same thing as, hello, man, shit, how are you? I can't do it in Bosnia either. Like, I tried to have a look at my uncle's house, the house that was left to me, and see the state of it. I see from above, someone's actually built a new house on it. It's like, who the hell has built on my property? But when I try to get down on a street view on it, I can't see nothing. So I've been making some interesting phone calls over there, but nobody wants to answer let's put it this way, I'm not getting straightforward answers. I'm getting a runaround, so I'm going to have to go and do a bit of a visit over there. And one of my friends is looking after my grandfather's house. And of course, at the time, I was able to get live images of Granddad's place. Yeah, we're looking after the place. And they go, well, how come there's 9-foot weeds and trees and whatnot growing in the backyard? We're not doing very good maintenance of the place.
Where's this at,
They do all this over in former Yugoslavia, over in Serbia.
Oh, wow.
In Europe. Yeah, they think just because we're over here, we can't keep an eye out and see what's happening to the property over there. Like, hang on a minute, we can. I could.
Yeah.
And we've actually had issues here, like one with my insurance company and the other one with, what do you call it? We've got a parking issue up here in the local shopping centre. We've got what we call loading zones. And there's one particular car, two shops actually, two cars. that I parked all day long in a loading zone. In a loading zone here in Australia, you only get 30 minutes,
Same thing here.
right? And I've already been booked, parked on a loading zone in my truck doing my duty. So you can imagine how upset I get when I see one of these cars parked in the same spot all day long. And they said, oh no, we're only doing deliveries. But I'm like, well, you've been parked here. Let's get Google Earth up here when the last time they done their street view cameras. You've been parked up in here since last November. Exactly the same spot.
Mm.
And my boss says, oh, you haven't been home. And I go, well, my car's been home. Have a look on Google Earth. Have a type in my address. You can actually see the car parked in the driveway. I haven't been anywhere. So when people said, have you been home during your restrictions? I go, type in date, pull Google Earth and go, yeah, look, there's my car in the driveway. I haven't gone anywhere. I've been isolated. Yeah.
So maybe once you get over there to your property, you'll have a new house over there built for you. Courtesy of
Yeah, but I think so, yeah. Yeah. I think there's something been going on. I mean, whether my brother and my folks have anything to do with it, Mum and Dad's just lost the plot. My brother's done something there that I don't know of. It's a mess. I just don't want to go into it now. It's messy. It's very, very messy. It's been a feud been going on for at least 8 years now, 9 years now. It's like.
So you have family over there?
I have family in Europe, yeah. I do have family, blood family.
No, where your property is. Where your property
Over in Europe, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who's in there. I don't know whether it's my aunties. I don't know whether it's one of my auntie's kids or whatever, or auntie side of the family. I don't know who's in there. I don't know who's in there. I knew who was in there, but I don't know who's in there now. And I'm the caretaker. Supposed to be the caretaker. But my brother's put me down to deceased. There's been some of my aunties saying, yeah, he's put me down as deceased. He's trying to sell my steam engine, some of the steam trains I left over Mum and Dad's place and didn't come out. He's been trying to sell it out and saying that I'm deceased. It's like, I'm still alive. Family politics. Yeah, that's why I want to get away from here and go to the US and go and live my life with my adopted family.
Where would you move over here?
Spartanburg, South Carolina. Just south of you guys. Spartanburg, Greenville.
Yeah,
Beautiful area. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's an 11-hour drive for me. I'll come down on the weekends.
Yeah, you can do that, yeah. Well, you can even jump up. Look, a friend of mine will probably fly you down fly you down quicker, Rick.
That's true.
It's improved, yeah.
Might be if you're close to the airport. Sure, I'll drop in. You mind picking me up?
Yeah, well, you might have to go. You might have to go luggage class, but it's only about an hour flying to down south.
I'll fly in cargo. Good enough.
Put them in a box, they'll fly that way.
Mark the box, model trains. You'll know who it is.
Yeah. Oh, no, we won't be able to do that because he might keep it for himself.
That's true.
Rick, do you fly first class?
I have not normally. I was in first class only twice.
Oh, okay.
Once for a business trip and once for my honeymoon.
I have always flown economy, and you're 6'5". I'm just a shade over 6'3", and that's not fun, especially when I was at my fatter weights at times. Yeah. So I can't imagine an 18-hour flight to Australia in economy.
No. I always try and find those flights that that have the seats that are open next to the exit row, so that I can at least stretch out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's my favorite spot.
Hey,
Because
Joe,
there's
Go
two
ahead.
things. There's two things about flying because I have never flown without Joyce. One, I have a fear of heights. Oh, that's right. I did one time. And the thing is, Joyce is a woman with a small bladder. Joyce has to sit next to the window seat, which puts me either in the middle next to somebody else.
You do not have
Yeah.
everybody every flipping thing. Good Lord.
So any flight, I'm
I've been there.
I'm back to there, and then and I might be trying to sleep because I can't sleep, but I want to sleep. Honey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Now I gotta unfold myself, push past another person.
Yep.
Yeah, it's daily. It's every time we fly. It's
the airline that I found really not.
is that what it's called? You and I have a different definition of love than it's called love. Yeah, it's love that I let you sit there. Of course, I don't want to sit next to the window anyhow, but
You don't sit next to the window because you're afraid of heights?
yeah, I vertigo. I don't like heights. I've gone to many things that challenge my heights, but I've been on top of mountains in Germany, but I don't like it. Bridges.
I'm afraid of heights too. So
Yeah, it's like we go to Chicago and we go up to the top of the Sears Tower and the what used to be called the Hancock Tower, or I think it's still called the Hancock Tower. I won't go outside. I'll stay inside and look down, and I start getting dizzy.
yeah.
And if you've ever been to the top of those buildings, or the ones in New York, you can feel them moving.
Oh, you feel it.
Really?
And I hate that. I'm up there for about 15 minutes, then I'm in the elevator going back down.
That's gotta be free.
So you want to handle our Centrepoint Tower in Sydney then, Nancy, because it just doesn't go like this. It goes around like that.
Well, yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah, it spins and goes like this.
I've been on top of the tallest mountain in Germany, and I have to do this little reach the hand out to the rail and slowly pull myself up to it. And I've been up there like 5 times, but I have to grab the rail and slowly pull myself up to it and do it's beautiful. It's an amazing view. I've been in the Rocky Mountains many times, but there are certain, and I'll do roller coasters, but I hate the trip up. Once we start going, I'm good.
Yeah.
But anytime I'm in a plane, I'm like, this is a long way down. If the engines go out, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad had no fear. My dad had no fear of heights.
I'm not a fan. I'm not too worried about the height. And the one thing I'm worried about is deep water.
Yeah, those glass sidewalks.
Sand coming up over your head.
I don't like those glass sidewalks.
I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a little. I ain't too keen on them.
Oh, I hate them.
Or
We
the
got
glass,
this one out at the Grand Canyon now.
the glass elevators. Yeah, don't they have them like they go out over the canyon too?
Yeah, the Grand Canyon goes all the way out there and around.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Joyce wants to do it.
She'd be by
As long as
herself.
I can put my
No, she wants me to go out there.
something solid on my foot, I'm right.
I think she's counting on the insurance policy.
My
Honey,
wife
come out here. You won't have a heart attack, I promise. Just look down.
That would suck, Anthony. You go, you retire, and that's where you go. You drop dead.
That's if I make it to retirement.
Yeah, there you go. You got like 8 months. I mean,
Well,
Jerry,
just
36 years I have been a public school teacher in a city, urban school district. I've broken up fights. I have broken up fights between guys and girls, and I got trained by the state of Ohio's Department of Corrections on breaking up inmate fights, because that's where I started teaching. I started in the State Department of Corrections. 36 years, never a real danger issue.
Yeah.
Even the school I'm at, never a problem. This year so far, 2 guns in the building and 3 other gun threats where we have had to go on lockdown.
Yeah. And what's your high school, right?
My wife's had it too.
Yeah, I'm in high school. We've never had this problem before, but I mean, yeah, I make the joke. I finally turn in my retirement papers and it's like, I'm not going to make the year.
Yeah.
Because we've already had 2 guns in the building and 3 other gun threats. Now, 2 of the gun threats were pure jokes, but we had to treat them seriously. But that's 2 guns in the building. That's 2 more than the previous 35 years.
Yeah. So now has your security presence been up?
We now have more. Our school district doesn't have enough for all the buildings yet, but they're getting them. But we're now having more often gun check.
Okay. Do you guys have metal detectors?
That's our gun check.
Okay. So I know some of the bad schools in Philadelphia have metal detectors.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not even technically a bad school. It's just the insanity of everything.
Yeah.
Because the scary one was the kid who brought in a gun designed to get past metal detectors. It was a plastic gun.
Really?
Now, of course, I worked in the state prison system where guys could make guns out of Zippo lighters and paper clips.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh my God, the creativity of inmates in a prison is ridiculous. The weapons they can make out of paper towel rolls.
Yeah, well, when you got all that time and you're that desperate, you think of a lot of things.
We used to teach, and we weren't allowed to give them pens. They were not allowed to have pens. And you gave them a pencil after they got into class, and then you took it away. And you had to make sure there was nothing missing on the pencil. No lead missing, no the metal eraser band, that holds the eraser on. They will steal those things and they will make shivs out of them.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
One dude, we got shown in Columbus when I was training down in Columbus at the state. At a penitentiary for women, they made out of paper towel rolls and toilet paper, they made a crossbow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Trying to see if. No, I guess it's the same. Was seeing whose chat is better, YouTube or this chat. It's about the same.
Okay.
Somebody
I've
says
been
there's.
told I'm getting an echo.
I don't hear an echo.
I've been hearing one, but I don't think it was me.
No, it's only when they talk. Well, wait. Now I'm doing it too. So somebody's got YouTube open, unmuted, or something.
No. No.
Well, I've got everything turned off on StreamYard. Okay, hang on a minute. Let me just do something.
Oh, never mind. There he goes. Gone. Oh, maybe not gone. But he broke one. Sorry, football play-by-play.
Yes, Joyce export.
Yeah, Joyce is into sports. Joyce was an all-city basketball player.
Really? Good night, Ron. Ron's leaving. I can't type in this.
All right, Ron.
Where?
Here.
Oh, lost Artie.
He'll be back.
All right. Now it's opened out. Just
Well, we had first and goal on the last drive and couldn't score. We kicked a field goal. Yeah, I saw.
Now this game's live, right, Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would be very excited for those.
Ohio State football was a religion in growing up. My dad was an all-state football player and was an Ohio State recruit. Got drafted and went to Korea. Eye injury, never played in college, never went to college after Korea. Spent his life building cars and motorcycles.
All right. Well, Artie left, so it's not Artie.
He's back.
Yeah, we're getting an echo if you can't hear. So I sometimes feel like it's on me, but I don't have anything open.
Artie?
He's back.
Okay, it's Artie's live feed.
I'm back. Let me check something. I'm not on a live feed, so I'm just wondering if it's creepy playing with the towers again. Gary, are you playing with the that telecommunication tower on Knights Hill again? I'll be back in a minute.
No, not me. Not me.
There's still a lot of game left, Anthony.
Oh, yeah. Well, we just scored a touchdown, so we're up 27-17.
Okay, my phone says it's 17-20. So you just scored the touchdown?
Yeah, we just scored.
Yeah.
Well, Vegas made us a 19-point favorite.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, shooter. So, Anthony, what's up with your Fowler car system? Nothing? Joyce is laughing. It's a
No,
sore
it's
spot, huh?
That's a pain laugh.
I have to spend about $100 to redo it. I've come up with a plan. What I wanted to do just isn't working. For whatever reason, these read sensors, as they're called, just aren't reading. To make my cars will go in circles just fine.
Right. It'll work.
But to get them to go into the bus station and park at the bus, you have these motors.
Right.
And then you have these things called read sensors because there's a read motor in the cars. So the read sensor turns off the motor of the vehicle when it gets to the stop point, or it turns the motor on. But the read sensors aren't working, so the cars won't turn, or when they go to the bus stop, they won't stop. And they started getting worse when I put this big fancy I don't know what you call it. I'm not a computer guy, but it's a control panel where you plug everything in. It's got a computer diode board in it, and you plug everything in, and it just doesn't work. So now we're just going to go with, I'm going to try the read sensors one more time, but they cost money. It's $25 for 3 of them.
Yeah.
And I have to order them from Germany.
Right.
I could get them from some shops, but most shops in America don't have them, and it's actually cheaper to get them from Germany than to order them from American shops.
Right.
So I'm actually thinking either Christmas or spring break, I'm going to totally rip out the Fowler car system I have. I've redesigned it, and we're going to put it in, but it's either just going to run as a basic analog setup, or if I can get the reads to work and do digital where the buses go in. But it'll be up and running one way or the other. I just wanted to do something fancy, and we've been having problems. I had it working until I decided to make it go digital. And then once I did digital, it all went kapooey.
But it did work at one time because I think I remember watching it.
Yeah, I had a great thing because I had everything on separate little motor boxes.
Yeah.
And then when I bought the thing that made it unified, where you could control it all from one place,
right.
That's when it all went to hell. And then, a month, 2 months ago, I went back to, I went under the table, ripped all the wiring out, and went back to the old little motor boxes. And now it won't work that way either.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to rip it all out, start completely over, and get it to work one way or the other. So we'll see how that goes.
That stinks.
Well, yeah, because we got a 10-point lead, so we're playing prevent again. There really aren't good coaches of defense in the state of Ohio. Browns.
Your team is what, 6-1?
We're 6-1. The thing is, Ohio State is the youngest team in the Power 5 conferences. If you follow football, there's the big 5 conferences and then all the little guys. Ohio State is half freshmen and redshirt freshmen because all the guys graduate and went to the pros, or don't even graduate. They leave after 2 years and go to the pros. And so early on, they were learning, and they lost to Oregon. Because normally, all the big schools, they'll play a couple of patsies. They'll play a couple of lower teams to get themselves going. Well, Ohio State started off with one of the better Big Ten teams their first game, and then played Oregon, the Pac-10 favorites, and they lost to them. They lost to Oregon. But they've improved a lot since then. But unfortunately, they're not. They're struggling a bit today. I think they got a little too cocky because Penn State had lost 2 games in a row, hadn't been looking good, and I think Ohio State's been reading the headlines about how great they are all of a sudden. Because our defense, we just scored a touchdown, and we shut them out 3 straight drives, and all of a sudden Penn State just marched right down the field because we're playing prevent defense. Oh, we got a 10-point lead. Let's back off and play safe.
Okay,
So I'm echoing now.
You're echoing? I don't hear you echoing.
I do.
I hear myself echoing.
You do?
yeah, I've been hearing it too.
Sounds
I
like
just
I
I
don't
might
hear
be
it.
StreamYard probably. I don't know because I've got everything switched off here. And I know I've got a lot of aircraft movers, helicopters and that flying in. Yeah, I can hear the echo too. Hang on, let me just try something.
Huh.
Jerry, hit me for
Me? Mute?
huh? All right, now what do you hear?
I don't hear an echo now.
No, an echo. So the problem only comes up when we 3 talk and this guy's got his microphone on. So, Jerry, you're the problem.
Yeah, speaking.
Why
There
am
it
I
is.
the problem? Why am I the problem?
You got YouTube? You got your YouTube muted?
I don't even have it open.
Oh, I thought you were watching the 2 different chats.
No, I popped the chat from YouTube, but no, I don't have it open.
It's only coming up when you talk.
The echo's gone.
Well, you're-
The
you're-
echo's gone. No, we didn't have it before.
So it's me?
Even I'm echoing now.
When I mute
Is that-
myself, I was
yeah.
still hearing echoing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only doesn't echo when he's not muted.
Him. Yeah. Him. It is Jerry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's Jerry. We
Am I
found it.
echoing now? No.
No.
Yep. It is Jerry. It must have 2 microphones going somehow.
There's a story of some model
Jerry,
train guys
get back in.
who were sitting in a chat room late at night.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? Okay, I'll close down my OBS and everything else and disconnect the camera and go and check the Wi-Fi. No, that's still all right. And it's
You left, and we thought it was Open Dodge. Then Open Dodge muted himself. That wasn't him, and then Jerry started muting, and that's when it all went away. Clear as a bell now.
Well, why don't I hear it?
I'm saying I'm echoing.
You seem to do better when I turn it off. Oh, I
Jerry,
really-
try back now. I'm back in.
there's something that Jerry's
Leave
got
the
turned
studio?
on.
Yeah, leave the studio and then come back in.
the old wishbone.
I've got,
Oh, there was a hold, but they'll never call it.
now, should I bring this other guy up?
Yeah.
Should
Why
I bring him
might
in
as
the
well.
basement?
See if he's
I've got another guy here in the basement. This guy's a troublemaker too.
Oh, Randall. No.
There you go.
He's
What's
always,
happening?
he's always hiding behind this screen. He's always hiding something from us. Like we have to use our imagination. And I just
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
for some
Says
reason, my
he's
camera
true.
uses the word when I use StreamYard, so I don't know what the deal is.
You need a new phone.
See, everybody was blaming me. It wasn't me.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't blaming anybody. I wasn't blaming anybody.
for a little bit.
It kind of
Hang on. Let me get this right.
You gotta go left. You gotta go. No, you gotta go right. Yeah, there you go.
Damn. Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Fuck. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Up there.
Jerry, you probably got. You might have another microphone going, or you might have another speaker working somewhere in the background that's pretty close to it. That's creating the echo.
Or it's the Russians.
Where's the Russians?
Oh no, it's not the Russians. It's the Chinese.
They take turns.
Yes, the Chinese at the moment. The Russians are quiet at the moment. They've got something else in the pot. It's the Chinese that are working at the moment.
At least the bread's still good.
Bread's still good. You got butter on it?
Nope.
No.
It already came with the bacon, egg, and cheese.
No, they're not too bad.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Rick. Bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches.
Bacon, egg, and cheese already built into the bread.
Sausage, egg, and
There
cheese.
you go.
Good.
I like those you get at Burger King.
Alas, I'm down to my last piece. I gotta go back and get some more.
Well, boy, down there, you want to get us one too?
Oh yeah,
Back?
why not? I'll send it out.
Yeah,
Sure.
good on you.
I'm
Sorry,
a
Jerry. You might be the speakers. Yeah.
I guess my speakers. Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
It's the thermostat, Melvin says. Yeah.
Actually, your speakers might be a bit too close to your mic. That's what it might be.
Yeah, but he wasn't echoing before.
No, so what's going on?
I know.
Yeah.
He was on. He was
All
on. Jerry? What about your phone? Did you still have your phone on in chat? Maybe the phone was doing it. I don't know. Try coming back up, buddy. We'll see.
Yeah.
All we can do is test it. And while he's doing that, I got a bit of a mail call for you.
Go for it, Rick.
This here just came.
Oh wow.
What happened? Did they throw it in the dryer or something? Did they? It's drunk.
Yeah, I think so. I think they thought it was for the kids' collection.
Oh, okay. That's cool, that.
It's my first. It's a pulpwood car from Ashley Drew Northern. I got it off of eBay. Wasn't a bad price, a little more than what I wanted to pay for it, but I took the guy into throwing in some free shipping, so that kind of worked out a little bit. But yeah, it's really cool.
They're nice cars. Pulp flat car.
Yeah, it's not here yet, but I found another Fox Valley GP60 to go with the two that I have already. So
awesome.
So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm still a little upset that nobody has made any locomotives for Ashley Drew Northern in N scale. It's killing me.
Where's
What do you call, where are they from? Where get this back up again. So where is that railroad from, Rick?
The railroad?
What area is that railroad from?
It's actually not
Yeah.
too far from. It's in Arkansas, not too far from Jason, I believe. It's
Jason.
a retired
Oh,
railroad.
okay.
They no
All right.
longer exist. They've been retired. They're one of our fallen flags. But they had a whole industry of wood, and they had it was a short line railroad, and at one time I forget what the number was, but they had like an astronomical number of cars that just went, all across the United States that got shipped around different places, full of wood pulp, wood chip cars.
Yeah.
Wood.
I don't have Blue Ridge model railways. It's a hobby shore, or Blue Ridge Hobbies in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. I don't know if they would have it, because they got a lot of branch line. They got a lot of branch line trains. They sell a lot of branch line trains.
Okay.
Without creating an account.
I'll just see if I can get there. Let's see if I can get their site up. Blue Ridge Hobbies, yeah. I don't know. It might be worth having a look. I'll just get that link up.
Yep, typical Big
If
Ten.
I'm looking for anything specific, I usually go and try
Ohio
them out.
State called for 9 penalties. Penn
I
State called
usually
for
try
4.
them out. Hey, Jason, did I just see Jason? No, I didn't. I thought I just saw Jason turn up.
I threw his name.
Yeah, have a look at them. Yeah, because Blue Ridge Hobbies, they tend to have a lot of branch line stuff around my area in the States and up on the other side of the mountains. And they got a good variety of stuff. It's worth giving them stuff. If you want an engage, try it. They might have it, they might not.
I'm gonna look it up right
It's
now.
worth a shot. Yeah, it's a shot in the dark, I know. So, yeah. So anyway, geez, I can't believe it. Nearly 3 hours in the stream.
Yeah, almost.
It's almost time for lunch. It's almost dinner time, bedtime for me. Not getting any work done again. I'll just send it over to you, Rick, and you can finish it off for me.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's just 10:30 over here. We can keep it going, sure.
9:30 where I'm at.
It's only 1:30 here.
Yeah, it's 9:37 at night as I'm looking at my clock on my phone there.
Well, it is still daylight here, as you can see there.
Yeah, at least you got
glare out my back side window.
Yep.
It's actually quite nice out there today. Gary isn't throwing me any water down this way. He is throwing a bit of chewy air coming down off the mountain. Yeah, it is for you, Gary. Look where you come from.
What's that?
Everybody wonders what it looks like where Gary or have you ever wondered what Creepy's area looks like? Actually, Rick, you can watch this TV program with your kids. It's called Babe, the Talking Pig. Have you seen that movie, Babe?
Yeah, I know, babe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, Babe the Talking Pig.
That'll do, Pig. Yeah. That'll do.
Yeah. In the first episode, whether you see him in the on the showground doing his parade and whatnot, the sheep and that's just around the corner from Creepy's place.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's actually what you see is actually what it's like up the mountain. That's up the mountain where he is, up the mountain from me. And it's about 45 minutes drive.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we got a running joke between me and him is when I get all the bad weather and the crappy weather, the rain and the snow and the storm, that all comes from him.
Ah.
Yeah. So no. Yeah. No,
Alright,
well,
so-
you can keep it there, creepy. You can keep it there, Gary. I don't want any damn more down here.
So it looks like Blue Ridge has some wood chip hoppers and some box cars, but no locomotives.
Yeah, you might have to do your own.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing I was thinking. I was trying to, but the locomotives that Ashley Drew Northern had, they have not made that model in N scale for any road name. We're looking for a GP10 or a GP28.
Oh.
No one's done it in N scale. You can find them in HO.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm actually surprised no one's ever done a GP. Intermountain did the HO version.
Now you can find them with the high nose, which I think makes it a GP38. But then you would have to manipulate it and cut the nose off and remake it for into a GP28. It's a little frustrating, but
Actually, what is it? You're looking for a GP20 or
GP28.
a GP10? 28.
GP10 or a 28 in N scale.
So on these GP28s, what are they, like a GP38 just modified a little bit, or?
I think so. I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what Jason told me. They're a modified version. I think I think it's one way or the other. I'm not sure if they're a modified version of the 38 or if they're a modified, or maybe it's a GP30. I'm not sure.
Well, now that I think about it, Kansas City Terminal had a pair of GP35s that they
would have been a touchdown too.
They removed the turbocharger off of them. And now that I think about it, I think they called them GP28s. They were basically a GP35 car body, except they had the non-turbochargers, the dual exhaust on the roof.
Gotcha.
Now,
looking at the picture, the GP.
That's the one I think KCT has.
Creepy, yes. I want the low nose. Stopping by for a few minutes. Hey, Steve, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go quit soon anyway. Yeah, looking at that, the only, I'm just trying to think who made them. But this is going a long time ago, though. This is going really, really long time ago. How old are you, Rick, if I may ask?
40. 40 on the nose.
Yeah, well, they made this before you were born.
Randall, you are correct. It looks like both the GP30 and the GP38 were modified from the GP28s.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was it Bachman at the time?
What BNSF did with their locomotives, because they redid a bunch of their GP40s, 50s, and I think some of the 35s that they had, and rebuilt them into GP25s. Now, if you look at them, they're still pretty much identical to what they was before they overhauled them. I think it's just all the internal stuff they redid in them.
Gotcha.
Now, a few of them, they did change the number boards. They put these big old, huge, boxy number boards on some of those engines. They look, to me, it just destroyed the looks of the engine, but that's just me. But they look so weird with sticking up there.
I remember seeing them when I was a kid, which is a long time ago now. I had one, and oh, geez, I'm just trying to remember who it was that made it. Yeah, I can't remember who made it.
Creepy. That's a cool website. Yes, that's got some good information on it.
Yeah.
Modeling
Yeah,
scale is not difficult. Yeah. So you've got to, in order to get it. So Creepy just sent a website in about GP10s. So it looks like nobody makes a GP10, but you can make a GP10 out of a GP9 in N scale. Atlas made a GP9.
That's who it was. It must have been named. I can't remember the brand on it now. Jeez.
It looks like
I'm not that old.
R. Yeah, this website's basically all about this guy's way of making a GP10. I just don't know if I'm that skilled enough to actually go through with those.
You're just gonna have to be nice and ask someone to make it up for you. Rick.
What's that?
Hey, Spunky. You know, I used to. Here you go, Sparky.
Anthony being this quiet, sleeping with his eyes open.
If I don't forget when I get off, I'll share a photo to the Sidetrack Sunday Facebook page. I took a picture of one of the GP25s that BNSF uses on the 101 local down in Jonesboro.
Awesome.
And I'll send that photo to you. If you actually look at the engine, it still looks like a stock GP50. But if you look on this, I didn't have a photo of the side still, but if you look on the, I don't know what am I trying to say, right under the cab, you'll see it stenciled GP25.
Wow.
But it's basically a GP50. I mean, it literally looks the same as it did when it rolled out of the factory, except for it has BNSF paint, and they got rid of the steel bell and put an E-bell on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry, Sparky. They're talking American locomotives, and I'm just.
Hey, Anthony, you're the professor on the European trains. I go to you for the European.
Yeah.
So not much I can add to this. I can go, oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, GP9, GP10. Oh, that sucks they don't make a GP10. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's good enough.
I don't even know what the hell a GP9 is. I know what GPS is, but a GP9, GP10.
Neither do I.
If my camera worked, I could have showed you a GP9 because I have a Walden's mainline one, but for some reason I can't get this stupid camera to come on. So
well, I mean, I got Google right here. I can go GP9 and see a picture come up, but you know.
Randall, before you does your camera works any other way you can use it for pictures?
Yeah, I can film, do everything. It's just when I jump into StreamYards, it shuts it off and it says it won't turn on, and I have to go on my browser.
What browser are you using?
Google Chrome, I think.
Chrome, okay. And what other apps do you have open when you go into StreamYard?
As far as I know, just the YouTube, not YouTube, but as far as I know, just StreamYard's only open.
It may just be a permissions thing. He didn't give.
Yeah,
it could be.
Yeah, I went into the permissions and it says it's allowing it to use the camera, but I can't figure out why it won't turn on. So
that's
it's probably a good thing I don't have it on, because the minute I turn it on, it just kills the signal off my phone where I live.
Oh yeah, too much data going through. Sure. Oh, so Sparky said a GP9 is a GP7 with dynamic brakes.
Yep.
And Steve says the make.
Well, we keep running right, and we can't run right.
Is a little older.
That time we ran a trap right, but they're just shooting the gaps in the traps.
Steve, we're looking for it in N scale.
There we got it. Whoops, sorry.
So, Sparky, I'm not sure if you were lurking or not, but I'm looking for either a GP10 or a GP28 in N scale, and I can't find one. Doesn't matter the road name because I'm going to have to repaint it to make it Ashley Drew Northern, but I cannot find a GP10 or a GP28 in N scale. You know, over on the dark side of things.
I was
You
just
might-
wondering,
have you looked?
I was just going to ask
No.
Rick, did that railroad buy those GP10s, I mean GP28s, from anybody, or did they just buy them new and then they got to the point where they had to rebuild them? I was just curious.
I don't know that. Jason would know that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I know. It's Engage, yeah. I mean, normal scale HO, yeah, there is a fair bit of stuff, but even in, you'd be surprised at how much of in our normal gauge you can't buy what you actually want. You got to kit bash to make what you want. Like at the moment, I was looking at and doing research and doing the engines that are on the Under Siege 2. 2 engines on the front of that, and I'll tell you what, it's hard when you look at it. There, you can get them all, but when you look at the engines, hang on, the cab's different. Well, something's you really got to kit bash them really badly to make them up.
Well, see, since you brought the movie trains, SMT Mainline built a HO model of what they call the runaway train from the movie, and it's actually a respectable model. I mean,
Well, how common or how popular is this particular locomotive, let's say in HO scale?
You can find it.
When they go
GP10
N scale, because it is a smaller group. I know this from the German European stuff. You're only going to find the more popular things in N scale. So if it's something that's going to be rare in HO, it may be non-existent in N scale.
Yeah, it's not real easy to find in HO, especially since it's a retired railroad. But to find it's easier to find the model in HO than it is in N scale, and then again you would just have to repaint and redecal it. Actually, Jason is working on a pair of locos for him,
right,
in HO. But yeah, you're right. In N scale, because everything is so much smaller and so much harder, they're only going to go for the big things.
Because when I got into model trains back in 2015, I was debating on going N scale because at the time I didn't know I was going to be able to take over my whole basement. So I wanted as much as I could get. But there were a couple of key trains that I could not find in N scale at the time. And that pushed me up to HO. And also I feared small trains, big hands. My shakes in my hands weren't really kicking in as bad then as they are now. But so I was used to HO is what I knew from childhood anyhow. So that's where I went. But it's clear that HO or N scale definitely has less available.
Well, see, back when I was a kid, of course, I'm only speaking as a guy that's 37 years old, but back in the day when I was a kid, around these parts, you would be hard pressed to find anything that was in scale.
Right.
It's pretty much HO and O scale, or you were just screwed. I mean, that's not really a nice way of putting it, but that's basically how it was in these parts. But
well, I'm 57. I'm 57, and I do remember when our local mall back in the mid 70s or early 80s would have train shows, usually around Christmas time. A bunch of people would set their layups in the mall. I did see, and I would see a couple N scale, and I'd be like, "What's that?" Oh, and I wouldn't have remembered it other than I look back now and remember. They would say, "Oh, this is N scale." It's like, "Oh, I didn't know they made trains that small." And of course, Z scale was around, and I saw some movie where somebody had Z scale, and I was like, "Wow, they made trains that small. That's tiny."
Yeah. Now, when I say around these parts, I'm talking like, just where I live, the
Right.
West Plains, Mountain Home area, and all those places in between. Now, once you got to places like Springfield or even Kansas City, then you start running into some N-scale. I don't think Z-scale was around at the time, or if it was just getting started. But once you got to those places, you started getting into the N-scale stuff. But you had to go. That's a long drive just to find N-scale.
All right, Steve, is it just me, or I'm on Shapeway's website, but I can't find anywhere to search for anything. It looks like it's just wanting to give quotes on 3D printing on demand. Do you have to like sign up first before you're able to search for items?
That's interesting. I don't know how you're going to achieve it. I mean, okay, Randall, you guys have only had running water for a few years.
Well, listen,
Okay.
Shapeway's marketplace. Okay, and that's probably different than what I'm looking at.
There's just so much out there. I mean, like in Sydney, in my area in Wollongong, we don't have any dedicated model train shops here anymore. We just one, you had the online market, but you also had the Sydney market taking a lot of the customers away. But the last two, I wouldn't say the last one, but one of the bigger ones down here, he just went broke because he wanted to sell what he wanted, not what the customers wanted to buy, as such. And people just, the orders never come through, and all these promises and whatnot. People just said, "No, we're going up to Sydney." But in Sydney, we basically got 4 dominant model train shops. One's for the English, one's for American. Actually, his stuff is going pretty slack with. He's got a very low inventory of American stuff now, so he's only going Australian. But American structures, he's got plenty of. I think out of the 4 hobby shops, only one specialises in Engage itself. It's got a whole range of Engage stuff. But then it goes to the British. There's more people that model British Engage and European Engage, which is like along Anthony's trick, the European stuff. And they're reasonably priced. There is Australian stuff coming out, but you can only buy them online. And really, the hobby over here is getting way too expensive. I was looking at, they're going to do a steam engine over here, and they're looking at about $800 Australian. That's way too much for a steam engine.
What was it I was seeing on there from Athearn? Rick may know what I'm talking about. I want to say it's a 482 that they did in their Genesis line, and they like almost doubled the price of it from what it was 10 years ago.
Oh, the FEF. Yeah. The FEF.
That one,
Yeah. I was thinking about it beginning, but it's funny because Broadway Limited is doing the same engine too.
Yeah.
They both do the same engine at the same time, but Broadway's going to do the same thing as what they've done with the big boy, with having that smoking whistle.
Well,
and synchronized smoke coming out of it.
No, you can't do that, can you?
Just what I see from BLI.
You ran out of bounds and came back in. Can you do that?
If they can ever get their arms around their electronics, the Paragon 4, I mean, they're the far superior engine, but they just can't seem to get a grip on their electronics. You hear stories that they have problems all the time.
I've heard stories, but touch wood to this day. I haven't got the Paragon 4s yet. Well, sorry, I lied. I do have one.
And
I do have the big boy. That's a Paragon 4. But I've only had it out for a little bit and given it a test run. It hasn't really ran. The Paragon 3s I have had no issues with. The only ones I've had issues with is the old blue BLI engines. I'm gonna get one out. Did you mute the mic, Anthony, or was it me?
No, I did. Joyce was talking about the game, so.
Oh, okay.
But what I was getting ready to say was, even though this isn't a steam locomotive, I was watching JLW II 2000's review on the BLI GP20. It's a nice looking engine, but man, when he fired the thing up and the sounds come on, the thing sounds horrific. It doesn't even sound like an EMD engine.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what you say it sounds like, but I told him, I said, they got to get their act together on electronics on those things.
Maybe we could have an
Yeah.
Well, if you guys remember these boxes from BLI.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I know.
These ones here, you need two chips. You need the BLI's chip and a chip of your own.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing with these ones here, once I completely lay it, I'm ripping the chip BLI chip out and putting the Soundtracks one in it. At least it will sound right, and I'm not going to have issues with it. Like this one hasn't been run for a while, and I've got an ESU chip in it, I think, or an ESU chip. The ESU chip has lost its memory. I've got to reprogram it all, and you got to program the engine's decoder first with the address without your ESU chip. Then an ESU chip, you've got to program it separately and then install it into the engine. It's like, no. I do have one of the steam engines out of the same blue box, blue box, and I'll have to do the same thing with it. I actually have to replace a circuit board in it. Oh, you want to know what is in this? This was an AC6000 in the DXP double steam.
There's another one sitting there that's got DCC and sound in it. I was down there at Memphis here about a week ago, and they had a CSX AC6000 sitting there. And like I say again, the features they have on them is really cool. I mean, the smoke, the fact they've got smoke in those things now, and yeah. I mean,
I'm not going to unwrap it because I don't want to touch it too much. I've got to seal the weathering on it, so I'm going to leave this till a later date.
That looks like a BNSF engine, Artie.
It's actually done in the BHP Bulletin's color scheme, and the orange on it, it's the actual orange that you can use. We found out that the BNSF's orange is very close to the orange that they used on this, right? And what they've done is they've got the SD 70s, I think it was, that were meant to go to BNSF. BHP Bulletin scrapped all their AC6000. We don't have any AC6000 in Australia anymore. They're all being scrapped. Apparently they couldn't handle the hot conditions where they run, because where they've been running, they were like day temperatures is like 105, 110 in the shade. So you can imagine what it's like outside. It was a lot more extreme than in the US. So what they've done was there was a whole heap of there was a whole heap of engines sitting over in the US that they're meant to go to BNSF. And the colour that was on it with the BNSF, when they put it next to the AC6000, they matched. Even though it's supposed to be terracotta red, the red on the BNSF and that actually maybe a little bit shade lighter, but they actually matched up together. So yeah, they bought, I think, 30, 40 of the SD70s, the AC models. And there's two running there which hasn't got the charcoal black on the back of it. They were originally painted up in the same colour as the Conrail blue. They used the Conrail blue on it. Yeah, with the white stripe on it. I can't get to that one at the moment. I've got to pull out half of my trains to get to it. But the original colour scheme had like this. You can use the Conrail blue on it with a white stripe, which was just
Okay, I know which one you're talking about now, or because SMT has that engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's SMT?
SMT mainline.
Oh, SMT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the blue and white was the original colour scheme. Well, original-ish colour scheme when it became BHP out there doing the iron ore. And from there, when they started merging with the American company, there was American interest coming into it, and they started putting themselves BHP Billiton. Then they went from the blue to the terracotta red and the charcoal black. It's not even charcoal black. I can't remember what the actual colour was. I did have it written down.
There's a name I haven't heard.
Yeah, no, they kept this colour scheme now. What's that?
I'm sorry, I was reading what Steve wrote. Weyerhaeuser. That's a name I haven't heard or seen in 40-some years. They used to do commercials all the time in here.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of changes. My area here, we can't run American. We cannot buy off-the-shelf American stock in our region here. But we just can't run it because our tunnels and width of our the tracks to the station, that is, the tunnels are too low for it. And we come to the platforms, they're too wide. They'll actually clip the platforms because the platforms sit real close to the edge of the track. And yeah, we just can't run them here. Out west where the iron ore is, over there they can do whatever they want. They've got no bridges, they've got no tunnels and whatnot over there. So we've just done a program on my line. We finished, I think, last year where they had to widen they had to take about 2 inches off the platforms for the new passenger trains to come in. Because whoever set the designs out to China to get these new double-deckers made, they didn't talk about different size tape measures that actually about 2 inches too wide. So, yeah, we had to go and chop all the platforms so the trains could fit on it. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I ain't going to have to love yous and leave yous all. It's been nearly 3 hours to this stream. Your son's going to come up soon, Anthony and Rick. He'll be doing there soon.
Not yet. Got another 6 hours for that, at least.
Oh, okay. I've got to go and try to get some work done.
What time does the sunrise here now? 8? 7 to 8 sunrises?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so we got someone. Joyce is waiting for the game to end so she can take her bath.
Oh, okay. No, when I'm just looking at all these wires that I've got here and all the soldering I've still got to do, I'm not going to get that done, and none of you guys are volunteering to do it for me. So That legitimately volunteering to do that, right?
Too bloody late.
Yeah, it
Sorry.
sounds like Joyce has actually been sleeping barefoot.
What?
Yeah, Randall, if I pop a link up in chat, could you tell me what this locomotive is?
Yeah, let me pull up my chat here if I can. Hopefully it won't kick me out of the thing here. If I hit the link, it may throw me out of the stream here. So.
It might. I just can't figure out what this.
Okay, I'm gonna. Let me just say, answer split rock before we do that. Yeah, the reason why I got the Pilbara engines split rock, when I was doing all of my driving, truck driving, and that, I actually transported and hauled a lot of engines and railway cars and rolling stock from Perth and Sydney, well, not so much Sydney, but Newcastle over the Pilbara area. I did a lot of work up there. And also, when my father came from Australia, he worked on the line up there. So my heart and whatnot is sitting a lot up in the Pilbara. I have some engines here that I have actually kit bashed with what they call the Pilbara cabs, but I will do more of them later. I just been with BHP basically for a very, very long time, so that's why I got the iron ore train. It's making a fictitious line. They did actually make it over here in my layout, so there you go.
I'll tell you what. I was just going to say, when I assisted the woman today, one of the really cool places they get to switch, there's a place they go to that's got like 3 or 4 different businesses, basically within like a mile or two of each other. They got the Nestle plant down there in Jonesboro. They got a Frito-Lay plant, and then they have the Trinity Railcar facility where they send their tank cars to. And basically, where I was at, on one side is the Frito-Lay plant, and on the other side is Trinity Rail. So on one side there's tank cars, on the other side you got hopper cars being loaded and unloaded, or being unloaded at the Frito-Lay facility. So it's a pretty cool place.
Oh, that's neat. So that's a GP9.
Let me click on that link and see if it'll take me there without kicking me out.
Looks like Jerry and Steve.
Well,
that's GP9.
Yeah, it's not going to let me do it, Rick, because I'd have to leave the chat.
No worries.
Yeah, maybe you might be able to do a bit of a simple quick bash and respray or whatnot, and you'll be right with that, Rick. And you might be able to do a wrap. You might be able to make it run.
Yeah, and I think if I'll have to double check with Jason, but I think if I get a GP9, I just cut the nose down. I think it becomes a GP10 for the most part.
Better you than me.
Yeah, I've never done it before, and I'm kind of like,
I think there's a couple other things you would have to do too. I think both Conrail and Illinois Central rebuild their GP9s and GP10s, if I remember correctly. If Sparky's in the chat, he would know.
He wouldn't, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's other details, but I mean that would be the main thing.
Well,
yeah.
At least if I did the nose, it would.
Get some old scrappy shells, Rick, from your swap meets and practice on one of them.
Yeah,
that's all we can do. Well, anyway, folks, gonna love yous and leave yous. So I'm gonna have to call it quits. I've got to get some work done and everything else. Thank you for joining my show.
All right.
Be
Good
same
chat
time,
with you guys.
same place next week. Yep. And hopefully I'll see you guys next week, eh?
All right.
All right, take care.
Thanks
See
for
you
having
later.
us.
See you guys
Take care,
all.
everyone.
Take care.
See
ya.
Bye.